This is Atomic Shinobi and today I'm going to narrate first part of What If Kid Naruto Befriended Kid Goku. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Not wasting no more time, let's start the story.
While Sasuke and Hinata were the only students not laughing, one student yelled, "Dead last, can't even make one decent clone to graduate from the academy." Naruto was disappointed that his plans to become Hokage had encountered yet another obstacle, and he had a dejected expression on his face. An explosion occurred in front of the academy just as Mizuki was getting close to Naruto. Every teacher and student went outside to investigate the source of the commotion. When they got there, they noticed a child with black spiky hair and a slightly damaged orange GI who appeared to be 2 or 3 years older than the students. Iruka shouted, "Hey, take this kid to the medic and alert the Hokage at once." As the remaining Chunin ninja departed. After being hospitalized for 3 days, Goku tried to sit up when he woke up, but he was tucked in pretty tight. He noticed an old man on his left who appeared to be roughly the same age as Master Roshi. He saw the preparation for speaking when his eyes were fully open. As the boy pushed his way to the top, Sarutobi remarked, "Well, I see you seem to be making a good recovery." Goku asked naively, "Where am I, old man?" He answered, "You're in Konohagakure, but allow me to ask, why were you found outside the academy?" The last thing I remember was I was on my flying Nimbus and a giant rock came from the sky, that had flames on it, hit me after I tried to stop it," Goku said as he was thinking. It's interesting that this child was struck by an asteroid and only awoke 3 days later. Sarutobi pondered incredulously. "Well, if you want, since you're here, will you like to stay here for a while until you feel ready to leave?" the boy replied. The boy, who turned out to be Goku, shook Sarutobi's hand and said, "Sure, thanks Gramps, by the way I'm Goku, nice to meet you." He took his hand and said, "Hokage Sarutobi, it's a pleasure to have you." After stealing the scroll of seals from the Hokage residence and mastering one of its techniques, Naruto will be permitted to graduate. Unaware that the village was now searching for him, he was attempting to master the multiple shadow clone jutsu. Iruka Amino found him shortly after. Iruka walked up to Naruto and asked, "Naruto, what are you doing with that forbidden scroll?" "Oh, Iruka-sensei, Mizuki said that I can graduate if I manage to steal the scroll, but I got bored of waiting for him, and decided I learn something from it for myself," Naruto clarified. Iruka thought, so Mizuki attempted to trick Naruto in order to steal the scroll. Iruka saved him and Naruto as 3 shurikens emerged from a branch while he was thinking. After revealing himself and attacking them, Mizuki told Naruto about the 9 tails he was born with and said that Iruka detested him for it. But when Iruka put his life in danger to keep Naruto safe, Naruto realized that Mizuki had been lying, so he made hundreds of shadow clones to beat Mizuki to death. Naruto felt bad about nearly falling for Mizuki's trick after the damage was done, but Iruka advised him to close his eyes. After noticing that Iruka had taken off his headband, Naruto looked up to see that it was now on his forehead. Naruto began to weep with happiness and embraced Iruka as tightly as he could. In the days that followed, he made friends with Konohamaru while completing his registration form. Anbu Ninja appeared in front of Goku as he entered the office shortly after Naruto and the honorable grandson left, but the Hokage waved them away. "Hey, I was wondering, can I be what you guys are? I'm getting bored just staying locked away being watched," Goku replied with a grin. That statement surprised the Hokage, who started to wonder. In response, Goku smiled, "How did you know you were being followed? Those shinobi are the highest Anbu this village has to offer." Goku scratched his head and said, "I don't know, I just smelt them from their hiding spots." As he began working on paperwork once more, he sighed and said, "Well, okay, but you will have to talk to Iruka first. He already has the team set up, but let him know I approved of this, seeing how you detected the Anbu rather easily." Goku waved and ran away, saying, "Thanks Sarutobi, goodbye." He laughed lightly and thought, that boy is so much like Naruto, it's almost scary. The following day, after arguing, Naruto and Sasuke kept glaring at one another until a boy seated in front of them bumped into Naruto. To everyone's dismay, Naruto fell forward and unintentionally kissed Sasuke. The members of teams 7, 8, and 10 were later revealed by Iruka Amino. Sakura rudely turned Naruto away when he asked her to lunch. Shortly after, furious once more, Naruto devised a scheme to make Sakura despise Sasuke. Later, Naruto used an open window to ambush Sasuke. After that, Sasuke was seen gaggling Naruto while standing over a bound. Later, Sakura was questioned by Sasuke regarding Naruto. He said sweetly, "Hey, Sakura-chan, what do you think of Naruto?" At the end, she said softly, "Naruto? He nothing but a dead last and failure with no skills. He's annoying too. If he's always gets between us, I can't live a life with you." Naruto was devastated. Sakura blushed like a tomato when Sasuke said, "I'm sorry that he made you feel that way, but your forehead is cute, it makes me want to kiss it." Sakura put her hands to her chest and said, Really, thanks Sasuke, that means a lot coming from you." Although he had to use the restroom, Sasuke leaned in to give Sakura a kiss. Then it was revealed that Sasuke had been overpowered by Naruto and restrained. Sakura passed by the real Sasuke, who had escaped Naruto's restraints after becoming enraged with Sakura. Sasuke told her that she was bothersome before leaving. Although he had to use the restroom, Sasuke leaned in to give Sakura a kiss. Sakura made the decision to treat Naruto a little better going forward. When Sakura made an effort to be amiable, Naruto assumed that Sasuke had changed into Sakura. He shouted at Sakura and ran to the restroom again, but on his way to the restroom, Naruto bumped into Sasuke. He was about to attack Sasuke using the shadow clone technique when all of the clones suddenly needed to use the restroom. Kakashi Hatake and the third Hokage were at Naruto's residence. Kakashi was given an overview of Team 7, which he would be leading, by the Hokage. Speaking about how much of a problem Naruto and Goku would be, Kakashi looked at a carton and said that the milk had gone bad a long time ago. Team 7 is together on this day. Naruto is paired with Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, and Son Goku, who was approved by the Hokage, because new Genin teams are supposed to be well balanced. A team is also assigned to Jonin, who has the authority to decide whether or not the 3 team members will become Genin. Kakashi Hatake is the Jonin assigned to that team. The door opened while everyone was waiting, revealing Goku. Naruto asked, "Hey, aren't you the boy from a couple days ago?" Sakura pondered the same thing as she admired his toned body, and Sasuke gave him a look that suggested something wasn't right but brushed it off. With a smile that rivaled Naruto's, Goku replied, "Yay, the old man said that I can be partnered up with you guys." As he adjusted his headband, he said, "Well, it's nice to meet you, Naruto." Before Sakura struck him in the head, he concluded, "This is Sakura-chan and Sasuke Teme." With a head rub, Naruto said, Ow, Sakura-chan, what was that for?" Sakura's inner self was salivating over Sasuke and Goku when she said, "Stop talking bad about Sasuke." Sasuke just looked out the window and said, "HN. Sakura, you didn't have to hit him so hard, he was just stating what he felt." Sasuke is, after all, it's just words. Beside, I think you guys will be great friends in the future anyway and have a bond no one will be able to break, Goku said while others were staring at him in amazement. 2 hours later, Kakashi shows up with a board eraser that has a tint of chalk dust and has fallen into his head. Up on the roof, Kakashi uses the day to have the team members introduce themselves to one another in order to foster camaraderie. Sasuke says he wants to kill a certain man. Sakura just blushes and looks at him. Goku says he wants to be the strongest fighter in the world and surpass his sensei, Master Roshi. And Naruto says he wants to be Hokage one day. He explains that the test will be a survival game where students try to steal one of Kakashi's 2 bells. Only 2 will pass the test, he continues, and 1 will be returned to the academy. Sakura and Sasuke hide at the start of the test, but Naruto and Goku stand their ground and look directly at Kakashi. Goku enters in turtle hermit style after Naruto starts with some shadow clones. When he turns back to face the front, he is targeted by Goku, who has his hand cocked to deliver a blow to Kakashi's side. Kakashi sees a clone run towards him with a kunai in hand and thrust his hand forward, but he easily avoids the clone by twisting. He became a log as the blow struck. With his guard up, Naruto questioned, what happened, Goku?" As he and Naruto disappeared into the bushes, Goku remarked, "I don't know, I thought we would have had him when he got distracted." Kakashi was happy with how they worked while perched on a tree branch. At that moment, Sasuke appears to kill Kakashi by attacking him with shuriken and kunai. Kakashi dodged Sasuke's earlier blow. The taijutsu battle between Sasuke and Kakashi was nearly evenly matched, but Sasuke was being pushed back. Kakashi was astounded when he unleashed his fire style, Great Fireball Jutsu, but he quickly avoided it and vanished before returning to the bushes. Sasuke snarls. He sees his team and is about to turn away when Naruto calls out to him. With a hint of rage, he asked, "What do you want, Dobi?" "Look, Goku and I tested Kakashi-sensei when we began and figured out that we can't beat him on our own. We have to work together to even have a chance of getting the bells," Naruto said. Sakura and Goku exchange glances as Sasuke looks at them both, and Goku nods. As they depart, Sasuke says, "Fine." In the opening, Kakashi was examining his book while simultaneously checking the time. As he looked up from his book and noticed Naruto's all over the field, he thought to himself, 10 minutes left, so another team fails. All of them charged at him, but Kakashi used Earth Release. double suicide decapitation jutsu to avoid the attack. This trapped all of the Narutos, who then poofed. He thought, Naruto, you're full of surprises. Making this many clones would have exhausted me for at least 3 weeks, and they called you a dead last. 1,000 kunai knives were on their way to Kakashi as he began to unwind. Sakura, huh, not bad. Kakashi thought he saw fire jutsu approaching him as he ducked under each of them. Sasuke too predictable, he remarked calmly, although he was shocked when the fireball broke up into tiny fireballs that barely missed Kakashi. He was even more shocked when they all turned to shuriken after they had subsided and nearly half of them nicked his body, forcing him to block. Goku had the ideal opportunity to assist them in passing their test as a result. Kamehame. Kakashi heard a chant and barely lowered his guard, but by the time he realized the voice was behind him, it was too late. Pushing his hands in front of him, Goku screamed, "Ha!" and threw a blue beam of energy at Kakashi. Half of the training field was destroyed by an explosion. Sakura asked, "Did we do it?" as everyone else shrugged. As the smoke cleared, Sasuke remarked, "It depends now." When they discovered Kakashi's lifeless body on the ground, Sasuke became enraged and gritted his teeth. Sakura collapsed to her knees, trembling, and uttered, "You killed him, Goku." From behind the group, Kakashi remarked, "Sorry, not quite, but that was a pretty impressive combination, you four." Sakura expressed relief, saying, "I thought you died for a minute." Kakashi laughed and remarked, "Well, to be honest, if it wasn't for my quick wits I would have died." He pointed to the dispersed clone and remarked, "The me that Goku got was a shadow clone." Kakashi started to say, "But you guys failed, I'm sorry GU," but was cut off. A voice leapt out of the bushes and said, "Hate disappoint you Kakashi-sensei, but we passed." Kakashi said, What do you mean?" Sakura gave Naruto a punch to the head as he smiled. Sakura yelled, "You baka, why didn't you help Sasuke?" Sakura appeared perplexed as Naruto said, Sakura-chan, I'm sorry, but that was part of the plan." Kakashi repeated, "Well, aren't going to explain?" As he showed him the bells that startled Kakashi, Naruto remarked, "Oh right, you see, when Sakura-chan sent those kunai knives at you, that was really me in disguise, and when I passed you, as a kunai, I knocked off the bells." Pulling up the bells, Kakashi remarked, "But how? They're right here." As the bell in Kakashi's hand popped into Naruto's hand and disappeared, Naruto remarked, "Well, that's thanks to Sasuke and Goku. See, when Sasuke shot his Phoenix Flower Jutsu and they turned to Shuriken, I had a clone disguised in and it replaced them with the bells. Goku was here to keep you from figuring that part out with his technique rather quickly," Naruto said. "Wow, this was all part of his plan?" Kakashi pondered in wonder. Sakura turned to face Naruto, who was grinning. Sakura surprised Naruto by hugging him and saying, "Naruto, that was a well-thought plan. It kind of makes me envy that it wasn't Sasuke." After that, Kakashi declares that everyone passed his test. He tells the group that they are now officially his students and that they are the first team to ever pass his test. He explains that one of the most crucial rules for a ninja is that people who disobey the rules are scum, but people who desert their friends are worse than scum. Later, they returned home to prepare for their upcoming missions as Team 7. A few days later, Goku was training with Naruto, who wished to impress Sakura, the girl he loves, and become stronger than Sasuke. Naruto sprinted in the direction of Goku, who was gripping his power pole tightly. Naruto created a few shadow clones, each of which charged at Goku and launched an unsuccessful, ferocious attack. Goku was about to use his power pole to attack after taking one of Naruto's punches with his left hand, but he was stopped when he heard Sasuke. Goku said, "Hey Sasuke," as his power pole reverted to its initial configuration. Sasuke turned around and left, saying, "HN, Kakashi wants us for another mission right now." For a brief moment, Naruto felt as if Sasuke was not seeing him, so he glared at him. Naruto crossed his arms and said, "Yo Teme, why don't you try calling us by our names, at least use everyone's names once in a while?" Naruto pouted at Sasuke's haughtiness as he disappeared, but Goku merely laughed a little. A few hours after receiving their mission from the Hokage, our friends are strolling along a picturesque path when they come across a tiny puddle that briefly catches Kakashi, Sasuke, and Goku's attention ahead, and then a body emerge from the puddle after it has passed. After one figure is flung, Kakashi is encircled by a chain that hangs from one arm. "Kakashi-sensei!" exclaimed Naruto. The two attacking ninjas attach a barbed chain to their armguards, tearing Kakashi's body to bloody shreds. Sakura screamed in shock at Kakashi's unexpected attack and death. Goku and Naruto are surrounded by the two ninjas as he prepares his stance and takes a kunai out of his pouch in anticipation of the two ninjas' move. Naruto asked Goku, who was standing casually behind him, "Darn, where's Kakashi-sensei?" Sasuke, with quick thinking, ties their chain to a tree with a strategically placed shuriken and kunai combo as they approach for the kill. After he lands on their arms and kicks both of them, they swiftly break free from the chain and separate, with one pursuing Tazuna and the other attacking Naruto. Despite his quick thinking, Naruto was able to keep up with Goku's training over the previous few days when the two ninja engaged in a taijutsu match as one of the ninjas bears down on the two. Sakura, shaken by the sudden activity, maintains her position. As Sasuke charges ahead and gets ready to strike, Kakashi suddenly attacks the ninja, having avoided harm by using the replacement technique. He is now holding both ninjas. As the group reassembled, Kakashi said, "Sorry guys for not being fast enough, good job guys, but Goku, why didn't you back up the team?" "I didn't have to, Naruto and Sasuke was more than enough, but the same can be said for you, albeit you were trying to see who was they after, am I right?" Goku replied with a smile from the sun. What did he also know about them? How much strength is he holding back, though, if that's the case? As Kakashi studied Naruto from a distance, Sasuke pondered. Kakashi looked at Tazuna and said, "Naruto, we need to get you treated because the ninja claws were poisoned, we got to leech you. While you get that done," he led the way and said, "You come with me." Kakashi explains to the two ninjas, who are firmly bound to a tree, how he knew they were being followed and why he allowed the attack. He wanted to find out who their target was. He then chastises Tazuna for lying in the job description because he was unable to pay to disclose the true issue. The group chooses to return to the village in light of the new information and Naruto's injuries. Goku and Sakura are hit by the gush of blood that is released when Naruto takes out a kunai and thrusts it into his hand. Naruto goes on to say that the mission is still ongoing and that he will no longer be a burden to the group. Goku, Sasuke, and Sakura all smile. Kakashi congratulates Naruto on his courage but warns him that if he does not tend to the wound, he will die from blood loss. Naruto thrashes and shows Kakashi his hand, but it is already healed due to the Nine-Tails demon that was imprisoned inside of him. They make amends and go on. Somewhere a very short man is yelling at some ninjas for not doing their jobs well. In a big, dark treehouse, a massive decapitating sword is then drawn by one of the ninjas who is seated with their face and mouth wrapped, declaring that he will complete the task. The two ninjas who were just defeated were later revealed to be known as the Demon Brothers. Momochi Zabuza, a ninja from the Hidden Mist Village, is the one in the treehouse. Together with Naruto and others, we find our group on a small boat, obscured by the dense mist, recuperating from their recent victory over the Demon Brothers. The oarsmen say they will soon see the bridge as they make their way slowly to their destination. Before long, a massive monolith in the shape of an incomplete bridge appears before them. Goku was using his hands to play with the water when Naruto screamed, but the oarsmen silenced him to avoid being discovered by an invisible foe. Kakashi read his pervy book and asked, "So Tazuna, what the real situation?" Tazuna sighed and turned to face the sea. As Goku listened intently, he explained, "Well, there's this rich businessman, named Gato. He wants to monopolize the country of the wave and stop the flow of free trade. He hired a bunch of rough ninjas to get the job done." Tazuna then begs the group to assist him, explaining that he lied because they couldn't afford a B-rank mission. Indifferently, Kakashi makes the decision to support Tazuna and the Nation of the Wave, knowing that the enemy will be much more formidable this time. Kakashi stays vigilant as the group heads to Tazuna's house after landing. Naruto chooses to take the lead and exercise excessive caution as the group makes their way to Tazuna's after being reprimanded. Naruto and Kakashi both sense something after Naruto charges forward and throws a kunai into the distance. Shocking the group this time, Naruto throws another kunai, nearly striking a poor little snow rabbit. Kakashi realizes that the fur shouldn't have been white because of the season as the others examine the poor rabbit. Then he informs the group that they are being pursued. Zabuza attacks after Kakashi gets ready. After sensing the new foe is getting close to them, Zabuza throws his sword at Kakashi because he has a significant advantage because he knows who Kakashi is beforehand. With the exception of Goku, who used his power pull to slow the sword in its tracks and cause it to bounce into a tree. Zabuza appears standing on the handle after Kakashi orders everyone to duck and they all hit the ground. He is immediately identified by Kakashi as the banished ninja from the hidden village of Mist. Knowing that they cannot win this battle given his current condition, Kakashi calls back the others, "Everyone regroup on me," and grabs his head protector. Sasuke appears shocked when Zabuza refers to him as Kakashi the Sharingan user after realizing who he is. Everyone is confused, so Kakashi orders them to keep Tazuna safe and not get involved in the fight. Goku asked gravely, "Hey Kakashi, you want me to back you up?" Then, Kakashi lifts the left side of his head shield to reveal a scared, closed eye when he opens it. A red eye with 3 dots that resemble a pinwheel is revealed. As he prepared to fight Zabuza, Kakashi remarked, "Thanks for the offer, but I can handle this. Make sure that if he gets by me, protect the team and Tazuna." The Sharingan, according to Sasuke, is a unique dojutsu or eye technique that can see through all ninjutsu, taijutsu, and genjutsu. Sasuke adds that the Sharingan possesses an additional talent: it can also mimic any move Kakashi defends against. Zabuza explains Zabuza calls the well-known Kakashi Copy Kakashi, because he is said to have copied 1000 juts. The battle has begun as a spooky mist settles. Zabuza uses the mist concealment technique while standing on the surface of a pond. Vanishing in the now dense fog, Kakashi goes on to say that Zabuza was a member of the Hidden Mist Village's ambush squad. He is referred to as the Silent Killer. In order to make them uncomfortable, Zabuza begins discussing how to be killed as the mist grows thicker and conceals Kakashi as well. After that, Kakashi gathers chakra and dispels some of the fog, but the two's intense desire to kill also makes Sasuke shudder. Sensing Sasuke's uneasiness, Kakashi assures him that everything will be okay and that he will never allow his allies to perish again. Then, Zabuza steps in between them and tells them that nobody can save them. Kakashi leaps forward as Zabuza swings the sword, but stops when the sounds of an attack become audible. It turns out that Goku and Naruto attacked Zabuza, and Kakashi witnessed Zabuza turn into water. As a result of the attack, Kakashi was right behind the real Zabuza. The real Kakashi is behind Zabuza with a kunai to his neck when Zabuza surprises him by swinging and splitting him in two. However, as soon as the blood begins to flow, it turns to water. Kakashi had already gained the upper hand by copying Zabuza's clone technique in the time it took for Zabuza to complete the mist concealment. Thinking he had the real Zabuza in his hands, Kakashi discovered it was just another water clone, and the real Zabuza was right behind him. Although Kakashi managed to avoid Zabuza's swing, he would have been kicked if Goku hadn't twisted his power pole to deflect the blow. Then, startled by Zabuza's speed, Kakashi felt a slash approaching and leapt into the water. Zabuza grinned and said, "Interesting, but now you've fallen for my trap, Kakashi." Kakashi saw the water rising above him and was instantly ensnared by a water prison. Naruto said, "This is not good," and Sasuke turned to face the battle that was about to start. While making another move, Zabuza remarked, "Pitiful, the legendary Kakashi captured by a B-rank jutsu." To eliminate the four, use a water clone. Kakashi exhorted them to depart with Tazuna, saying, "Guys, get away, you're no match for him. Take Tazuna and go." However, Sasuke was aware that was impossible now that Kakashi was in captivity. While he was being held captive by the demon Zabuza's clone while attempting to free Kakashi, Kakashi tells them about the incident that altered Mist Village's graduation exam. Zabuza, a child who wasn't even a ninja, killed hundreds of that year's students during the Mist Village's graduation exam, which was very different from Leaf Village, where friends competed against friends in a fight to the death. This time, claiming that they were fakers rather than ninjas, the clone targeted Naruto and kicked him, sending him flying and causing his forehead protector to disengage from his head where the clone had stepped. Naruto was terrified and about to run away when he saw Goku and Zabuza's clone fighting evenly. Goku counterattacked with his power pole but was stopped by the sword. Zabuza swings and misses, and so on. Why am I unable to take any action to keep everyone safe? No, I'm not going to give up. In his mind, Naruto screamed. When he slammed his left arm down, he experienced pain and flashbacks of Iruka-sensei providing him with protection and the promise that he wouldn't flee and wouldn't require assistance. When he tried to attack Zabuza, he was kicked and blocked, but this time Naruto grabbed his guard from beneath him, Goku, who immediately followed with a punch to Zabuza's face, sending him spinning. A shuriken is thrown towards Zabuza by Naruto, who uses his shadow clones to attack him. He catches the real Zabuza, but another shuriken emerges in the shadow of the shuriken, which Zabuza easily avoids. When that shuriken turned out to be Naruto in disguise, he threw a kunai at Zabuza. Zabuza dodged the kunai, released the prison, and was about to slash Naruto when Kakashi intervened. However, Zabuza's entire upper right torso was consumed by a wave of energy that was launched at him as soon as his guard was lowered. The Sharingan is a unique eye that Kakashi possesses. It was created using the Hyuga clan's perspective. Only specific members of the Uchiha clan should have inherited the Sharingan, a bloodline limit ability. Since Kakashi is not a member of the Uchiha clan, we are curious as to how he acquired it. It is believed that he only has one because it was surgically implanted. He can perform any ninja jutsu, in this case, the water clone. When he uses the Sharingan after they battle, Kakashi manipulates Zabuza's mind to perform the waterfall technique, which nearly kills Zabuza and leaves him in a near-death state. The fact that the young child his age killed Zabuza enrages Naruto. However, Goku felt uneasy about this. Kakashi exhausts himself in the battle and passes out. He claims he won't be able to move normally for a week when he wakes up in the bridge Blighter's home because the tracker didn't aim for any organs and didn't work on the body right away, which is extremely unusual. He informs Sasuke, Naruto, Goku, and Sakura that Zabuza is still alive. Goku grinned at Naruto's apparent happiness at having another opportunity to defeat Zabuza. Then you see Haku by Zabuza's side as he lies in bed. "If I didn't interfere, Zabuza, you would be dead right now." Haku says. The man who hired Zabuza to kill the bridge builder begins to speak negatively about Zabuza, which infuriates Haku. "Don't you dare touch him," Haku says, grabbing his arm and nearly breaking it. Then, in an instant, he eliminates the two bodyguards, and when they depart, you see that Zabuza had a weapon and was about to kill the man. Haku claims that would have been stupid because he was their best cover. Goku was unable to follow Kakashi's instructions to teach Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke how to climb a tree solely by using their chakra, so he just began practicing punching and kicking. Naruto doesn't make it very far before falling and colliding with his head, and Sasuke tries next because he is still in pain, but the tree begins to crack under the strain. Kakashi thinks to himself, "Well, that's what I expected from Naruto and Sasuke," and then gets sidetracked by Sakura, who claims that it's fun, and they all turn to see Sakura at the top. "If you use too much chakra, the tree will break, and if you don't use enough chakra, you end up like Naruto," he says to himself. Kakashi encourages Sasuke and Naruto to try again by insulting them and glancing at each other. When Naruto is struggling and appears to be about to lose it, he leans over to Sakura, who is skilled at everything, and asks for advice before telling her not to tell Sasuke. Goku was now lying down sleeping like a child while Sakura and Naruto conversed, and Kakashi thought to himself, "Naruto and Goku have almost even amounts of chakra than Sasuke and probably has more chakra than myself." Later, when Naruto and his friends travel to the country of the wave, Naruto encounters a young boy who is adamant that he will fail his mission and die. However, the boy's bitterness stems from the fact that the man pursuing the bridgemaker killed his father, who was a hero to the country of wave, saving them from floods and other problems. The man who killed him was the antagonist who came along and killed him. A few days later, two of Gado's goons attack Tazuna's house with the intention of kidnapping Tsunami in order to force Tazuna to stop building the bridge. They get ready to kill Inari, but Tsunami threatens to kill herself if they hurt him. Inspired by the bravery of his mother, his grandfather, and Team 7, Inari defends himself and tries to stop the kidnappers before they can cut them down. Naruto appears to save Inari, congratulating him for risking his life to save his mother, and he departs to join the rest of his team. In the interim, Sasuke, Goku, and Haku start fighting. Although Haku is a skilled opponent, Sasuke is being outpaced but is still able to handle it. Goku, on the other hand, charged at Haku, who stopped fighting with Sasuke as he was catching his breath. Goku recovered and landed gracefully on the ground after being thrown by Haku. But Sasuke began to attack Haku viciously in order to make good use of what he had learned during his training and push Haku to his limits. Haku uses his trump card, demonic mirroring ice crystals, because he is annoyed by their success. "What's this jutsu?" Sasuke didn't say this to anyone in particular, but Goku responded on his behalf. "I think is a move that will allow him to box us, and, seeing as he can't beat both of us at once," Goku replied. "You two were deserving opponents, you're right, but I can't let this go on forever. I have to get this over with for Zabuza, and you should be aware that I could move between the mirrors at the speed of light." Goku just grinned, while Sasuke was astounded that anyone could move so quickly. As Sasuke was perplexed by Goku's actions, Goku grinned and said, "This sounds fun. I can't wait to actually see this technique in action." Gets in his turtle helmet fighting stance. "Come on, I'm ready." Haku complied, began drawing his senbu, and soon the others followed suit. Without thinking, they all launched their attack. Sasuke tried to block the attacks with a kunai knife, but Goku simply sidestepped them all with a little effort. Haku, unable to believe that anyone could match his speed, flew out of the mirror behind Goku and Sasuke and attempted to eliminate the main threat. Goku, he was a second too slow. Goku turned around and quickly caught Haku's senbu, who was shocked that he was holding the tip. "This is your chance, Sasuke." Goku told Sasuke to prepare his fire style, Grand Fireball Jutsu, and as he screamed the attack, Goku swung Haku to the ground as Sasuke fired the attack. Goku held him pinned to the ground as the fire approached before the fire struck. Haku dispersed into the water, leaving Goku alone. Goku was so shocked by what Haku had done that he was unable to flee. "You will be burned to ashes if you don't move out of the way." Goku was holding the attack in his hand and attempting to destroy it with force when Sasuke ordered him to stand his ground. Sasuke was in awe and failed to notice Haku approaching him for the kill, but Naruto Uzumaki, the one and only, came to his aid. Haku, who was punched, realized that this was the same boy he had met in the forest a few days earlier. Don't worry, the main character always saves the day at the last minute. Everyone, including Sakura, Tazuna, Zabuza, and Kakashi, heard Naruto say, "I'm captivated," and they all started to perspire. "I apologize for taking so long, Sasuke. What on earth is that blast of heat doing?" he asked Sasuke, who glared down at Naruto at that moment. Goku crushed the fireball, which relieved Naruto, who was wearing a jumpsuit. Goku glanced at his hands, which were slightly damaged but nothing he couldn't handle, and saw both Naruto and Sasuke glaring at himself. "What's on my face?" Goku asked, grinning. "Well," Naruto glared at Haku along with the others, saying, "Let's just concentrate on the task at hand right now." As he flew backwards in the crystal behind him, Haku said, "Well, it seems I misjudged you three from earlier, when you guys fought against Zabuza. But, the truth be told, I was waiting for all of you to come so I could finish you all off at once, and now that I've seen all your moves, I know your strength, weaknesses, and techniques," Haku concluded, and everyone looked at Haku calmly before Sasuke started to doubt himself. His eyes were so menacing that they were red, with 2 tomos in his right eye. "I will kill you or anyone else because I have a mission to finish before I lose to you or anyone else." After declaring this, Sasuke prepared another massive fireball, which he fired this time. It was much larger than the first one, with a radius half the circle they were in because of the crystals. After making a quick hand sign, Haku raised his hand and said, "Sorry, I can't allow that to happen." A wall of water swiftly vaporized it, and Kakashi tried to help them but was stopped by Zabuza. Haku asks them to stop trying to flee because he has no interest in killing them and will if necessary to preserve his dreams of being useful to Zabuza. Concerned about what will happen to the genin, Kakashi gets ready to fight Zabuza so that he can help. They attempt to attack Haku, but their efforts are swiftly neutralized due to Haku's extreme speed, with the exception of Goku, who was taking minimal damage. Jutsu for shadow clones. Naruto yells angrily, "No, Naruto! Sasuke!" A bunch of Narutos are flying through the air and without hesitation, Haku glides from mirror to mirror stabbing the Narutos and Sasuke. Then, once more. Naruto shouts, "Shadow clone jutsu!" Sasuke screams, "Stop Naruto!" Once more, Sasuke sees the water droplets in front of him breaking up into smaller ones as many Narutos jump at the mirror, growl, and then fall. Needles suddenly appear and start slicing Sasuke's scars. Naruto snarls, "Okay, shadow clone jutsu," Naruto exclaims when Sasuke asks, "Naruto, can you try again?" Poof! Sasuke kicks at a puddle of water and measures the interval between each drop of water breaking up, causing Naruto to scream at the mirrors before falling. Due to Haku's time, he instantly conjures up a fireball jutsu, and as soon as he spots Haku out of the corner of his eye, he takes a breath and strikes. Before Kakashi can reveal his Sharingan, Zabuza attacks him. Zabuza is unfazed by Kakashi's blocking of the attack because he has learned from their last encounter. After witnessing their fight, Haku came to the conclusion that the Sharingan's seeming mind-reading skills were merely a delusion. Zabuza fights with his eyes closed and covers the area with a thick mist to make it difficult for the Sharingan to hypnotize him in order to avoid falling victim to the same trick twice. With Kakashi no longer in control, Zabuza seizes the chance to attempt Tazuna's murder. At the last moment, Kakashi steps in front of Tazuna to stop the attack. Haku's constant attacks are wearing out Sasuke, Naruto, and Goku, though to a lesser extent the latter, but the attacks are losing their effectiveness as Sasuke gradually learns to not only keep up with Haku's quick movements but also to react and steer clear of them completely. Haku moves to kill Naruto in order to make fighting Sasuke easier after realizing that this is because Sasuke has awakened his own Sharingan eyes. In the meantime, Zabuza has seriously injured Kakashi. Zabuza notes that, like Sasuke and Naruto, he will soon perish, but Kakashi believes they will survive. Sasuke has used himself as a shield against Haku's attack. As Goku and Naruto discover elsewhere, Sasuke does not know why he would do that, but Naruto asks why he regrets not being able to kill his brother before appearing to pass away. Furious over Sasuke's death, Naruto yells, "After everything you've done to my friends," and turns over his shoulder, declaring, "I'm gonna murder you." He then gives Haku a demonic glare and swears to kill him. Unknowingly, Naruto uses the Nine Tails chakra reserves to vent his rage. When Kakashi notices this, he decides it's time to wrap up his fight with Zabuza because he fears the seal that keeps the fox trapped inside Naruto has been broken. Goku was astounded by Naruto's excessive energy, which was nearly identical to that of Master Roshi when he was under pressure. Haku tries to escape when he discovers that Naruto's enigmatic chakra source also repairs all of the harm he has received. Goku saw that Naruto had dodged one of Haku's blows and caught him in a single, swift move. After that, he strikes Haku in the face, breaking his ice prison and sending him flying. Haku's mask, which he had been wearing the entire time, breaks as he turns to face his death as Naruto charges to deliver the final blow. Which, after the mask came off, revealed a startling discovery. Naruto said, "It can't be it's, but I cut him off." "Ha Haku!" exclaimed the nine-tailed container, utterly taken aback by this turn of events. Haku started talking while blood was dripping off of him. Haku asks directly, "Aren't you going to kill me?" Goku approached Naruto, who was unsure of how to handle the current circumstance. He smiles and nods to Naruto while putting his hand on his shoulder. Haku gave Naruto a look of admiration at his generosity as he turned to face him and said, "No, I won't. You're not able to defend yourself anyway. If I killed you now, I'll look pathetic for striking down a helpless shinobi." The Mist Nin asked, "But, why? I killed your friend, did I not?" To which Goku joyfully answered. Goku looked over his shoulder at Sasuke and said, "Nah, he's still alive, just lost consciousness. He should recover in about a couple of days." They were waiting for Naruto's response to see what he would do, but Haku chose to break the silence by telling them about his early years. He claims that his parents were content with their lives and that he was born in a snowy village in the water country, but that one day his father killed his mother and then attempted to kill Haku. There were numerous bloodline civil wars in the water country. Haku's father quickly learned the secret and came to kill them after he demonstrated one of these talents one day while he was playing. Haku killed his father in order to get away. Everyone didn't want Haku, but Zabuza was the only one who would accept him. Haku has devoted all of his allegiance to Zabuza since that day. This strengthened Naruto's conviction in his decision. Goku's face was serious as he considered what to do next. Kakashi and Zabuza were still fighting as they conversed. It is Kakashi who summons Ninpu tracking Fang no Jutsu, Earth Element. Zabuza gestured around the mist to get Kakashi away from his location and said, "Hehehe, you're trapped." Kakashi of the Sharingan. Suddenly, a number of nin dogs attacked from the ground and captured him. The copy ninja boldly stated, "It's over Zabuza, give up or be put down permanently." This was not advantageous. "Ha, you're a fool. Why would I give up if I'm trying to make as much as money as possible to benefit Haku and I?" asked Zabuza for a moment. This caused Kakashi to falter. Haku continues to beg Naruto to kill him. During this time he claims that Zabuza won't want him anymore since he didn't do what he was asked to do. He failed to carry out the instructions. At that moment, Goku appeared between Kakashi and Zabuza after disappearing from Naruto and Haku. He questioned the Saiyan, "Goku, what are you doing over here? Shouldn't you be where Naruto is?" When Gato arrived, he received his response. The Monopolizer and his band of bandits remarked, "So, the demon of the hidden mist fails I. Well, you're now, how do you say, expendable now, ha 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 ha." As Naruto approached Goku with Haku's arm around his shoulder, Sakura finally broke out of her shock and ran towards Goku, who was carrying Sasuke, totally oblivious to a bewildered Tazuna. Without turning to face Gato, he said, "Kakashi, I'm sorry, but Haku and I must end our fight with you guys. We have to take care of that little shit so we can take all his loot." This made Gato back up a few feet. With a sluggish tone, Haku said, "Zabuza-sama, what are we going to do?" Naruto shouted, "No, we're going to take this bastard out anyway for treating the people here like trash." As he readied his shadow clones to confront the now terrified bandits, Goku approaches Naruto's side. Goku yelled, "Let's do this, Naruto." Before he and Naruto slammed fists, and the fight started with more than 30 bandits against more than 100 Narutos, Goku, Kakashi, Zabuza, and Haku. They ruthlessly attacked Gato and his men, resulting in Gato's beheading by Zabuza's blade. Inari and the villagers arrived a little too late to engage Gato and his men in combat after that brief skirmish was over. When Sasuke awakens at that moment, Sakura joyfully informs him that their mission has been accomplished because Zabuza has stopped pursuing Tazuna later. Naruto grinned as Inari gave him a hug for his assistance to the village, but as soon as his strength grew during the battle with Haku, he was dozing off on Inari, who failed him. This little stunt made everyone laugh, and even Sasuke grinned a little, but from the expression on his placid face, Goku was very proud. After a few days, the group starts to depart, and Naruto learns that the bridge is known as the Great Naruto Bridge. When Team 7 returns to Konohagakure after finishing their mission in the Land of Waves, Goku informs them that he must visit his master in order to participate in a tournament that will take place in a few days. Despite his sadness, Naruto wished Goku luck. Goku also advised Naruto to keep up his previous training regimen in order to improve his strength, speed, and endurance. After a few days, Naruto noticed that his self-training was going according to plan to strengthen their teamwork. The group keeps completing missions even though Sasuke saved Naruto's life because he was jealous that Sasuke had Sakura's attention. Their cooperation appears to have deteriorated further, as Naruto's desire to defeat Sasuke led him to make mistakes on later missions. Kakashi sends them all home after determining that their teamwork is too poor that day. Before departing, Sasuke tells Naruto to just beat him in strength before accusing Sakura, who had suggested that the two practice their own teamwork, of being worse than Naruto. Later on, Konohamaru would stalk Naruto along with his two friends, Udon and Moegi. As antics take place, Konohamaru unintentionally runs into a foreign ninja, whom he insults and who then threatens to kill him in a split second. Naruto succeeded in his attempt to protect Konohamaru from the newcomer. He saw that Naruto didn't even flinch as the enigmatic ninja was about to strike him. He shouted, "What? You're not scared, big shot?" while he awaited a response. Naruto glared back. No. The blonde girl with him saw this and began to laugh a little. He tried to punch Naruto, who caught it, saying, "Shut up, you little turd." He was about to be struck by the newcomer's other fist, but a kunai sliced his face from above, stopping him. Naruto is disappointed that his shine is taken away once more after a tree above Sasuke prevents him from taking a punch. Another ninja shows up to tell the first to stop playing around just as the enigmatic one is ready to attack Sasuke. The kunoichi with them later identified herself as Tamari, and he reveals himself as Gaara of the Sand Waterfall. The three ninja from the other village reveal that they are in Konohagakure for the Chunin exams and are from Sunagakure in the Land of Wind. In the meantime, the third Hokage has gathered with all of the Jonin. He declares that the Chunin exams will be held on July 1st in 7 days. Goku was looking forward to seeing his master on the flying Nimbus so he could continue his training and see Krillin, his best friend. "Hey guys, I'm back. Master Roshi, Krillin, Turtle," Goku exclaimed with a smile on his face as he approached a small island. A large tortoise, a bald child, and an extremely elderly man emerged from the door. Krillin asked, not believing his eyes, "Goku, is that you?" rubbing his eyes as the sun obscured his vision while he attempted to see Goku. It took Krillin some time to regain his vision after Goku descended. Turtle shook Goku's hand and went back inside to finish sleeping after Master Roshi simply nodded to let the little Saiyan know he had heard him. Krillin joked, "So you finally came back, huh? Can't say I blame ya." Goku grinned in response. Krillin perspired as Goku held up 4 fingers and said, "Nah, I thought should come back to compete in the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament, and besides Master said about 8 months ago that he will be taking us if I remember correctly." To the surprise of both Goku and Krillin, Roshi responded that they were prepared to compete in the tournament. When he asked him where they would be able to train further, Roshi picked up a suitcase next to him and opened it to reveal well-tailored suits. As he shut it again, Roshi remarked, "These are for you too, so that we look like ordinary citizens upon our arrival, and to make sure to be seen with to barbarians." Roshi gestured for them to follow, saying, "Anyway, let's come inside to eat. I'm sure Launch is cooking dinner right now." In a Konoha forest, 2 genins were observed, one flexing his body and the other practicing with kunai knives. A boy wearing an ugly green spandex outfit said, "Hey, did you hear that? For the first time in about 4 or 5 years, there are going to be rookies in the exams." The girl beside him was aiming at wooden targets with twin buns in her head. She says, "No way. It's probably just a rumor or something," as her friend gets to his feet. He waved his hand up at her in an attempt to support his claim, saying, "No, not just that. One of the team is that of Kakashi's squad." There was a target nearby, but the girl walked a good distance away. She threw a knife without looking, tossing it up and down, and when she saw the outcome, she grinned. She said, "That sounds interesting," but in the end, before approaching her green-clad friend, the man with the lavender eyes smiled and said, "You have to feel some sort of pity for them." In another part of Konoha, Team 7 was waiting for their teacher on a nearby bridge, but he is usually late. Sakura yelled, "Man! How come he's always so late? Why does he always asks us to be on time when he's never on time himself?" Which, to be honest, irritated Sasuke and Naruto. She raised an eyebrow when Naruto, crouching on the bridge's edge, said, "Hey Sakura-chan, no need to be so loud, he'll be here when he get here." Sakura crossed her arms and said, "Oh, what? You're telling me that you don't like hearing my voice?" Sasuke turned to face Naruto and studied his actions. He appeared different, as if he ignored her being in his personal space and didn't even notice her. Naruto leapt off the ledge to lie down and nap beneath a tree, saying, "No, it's not that, but you don't have to be loud about it." After an hour, Kakashi approached the group. Naruto asked nonchalantly, "Were you Kakashi-sensei?" He pulls out 3 sheets of paper and begins, "Well, I got lost on the path of life and," before trailing off. Kakashi said without enthusiasm. Nominate you for the Chunin exams, here are your sheets. Sakura was anxious once more as they looked at each other's papers, but Naruto and Sasuke exchanged gentle smiles. I didn't miss Naruto's joyful embrace of Kakashi. His grip feels so strong, and it's only been a few weeks since we returned from the Wave Country, Kakashi thought. He gave a small laugh and said, okay, you can put me down now, Naruto. Sakura's heart rate decreases as he explains. Look though, even though this is a nomination, you each have an opportunity not to take the test, he said as he vanished. If you intend to take the exams, go to room 301 by 4 p.m. and give them your slips, that is all later. With a cunning grin, Sasuke remarked, this sounds intriguing, there's going to be lots of strong opponents there. Naruto boasted, but mumbled the last line while thinking of Gaara. Yeah, I kind of wish Goku was here now so that we can duke it out with some of the strong guys like him. Naruto spotted Sakura behind them as they were leaving and went back to check on her. He put his hand on Sakura-chan's right shoulder and said, hey Sakura-chan, what wrong? You seem upset about something. She pretended to laugh and waved her hand in front of her head, hoping Naruto wouldn't see through her, but it didn't work. No, Naruto, I'm sorry, I was just spacing out. Naruto was about to gulp his saliva when he said, you don't have to hide it, Sakura-chan, I'm your teammate and, he concluded, and friend. He closed his eyes a little, expecting her to hit him, but instead he got another hug. This one, though, is distinct from the previous one because it seemed as though she required this self-calming. Sakura turns to leave, saying, thank you, Naruto, but seriously, I'm fine. She stops and warns Naruto that if he tells anyone, she will shove his foot through his rectum. She then gives him a quick wink and flees, leaving Naruto dazed and terrified but ready to go for a nap. Today is the day the champions emerge at Kane's house. Roshi was outside in his suit, Krillin and Goku were in their suits, and Launch was beside him. Roshi looked down at them and said, so are you boys ready? They both nodded. The perverted man said, okay, then you may both remove your shells again. Krillin says, not a moment too soon. As soon as he and Goku take off their shells, they see a significant change. The bald boy said, hey, while moving both of his arms in a circle. Goku jumped around and exclaimed, yeah, I feel it. To Krillin, I feel so light now. Hey, you two try jumping as high as you can. They both glanced at their master before making a leap that launched them into the troposphere. They both exclaimed, whoa, unreal. Together they both laughed together as soon as they touched the ground. As he packed the suitcase, he said, okay, that enough now, let's get going, shall we? Launch said sweetly, good luck Goku and you too, Krillin. They both said, thanks, simultaneously, which caused them to turn to face one another. Looking at her, Roshi said, Launch, I'm entrusting you with the house, okay? They drove off, and she yelled, bye guys, give it your all. They took a passing taxi to the stadium after they got there, but it smelled a little, and Goku discovered a pair of red underwear under the seat. Clueless, Goku said, hey taxi driver, you a girl? When he discovered Goku with the underwear on his head, he stopped and said, what the, of course you dumb bra. The cabbie, who was panting, said, hey, where you get that? Goku and the others laugh and say, under you seat. When they arrived at their destination, Roshi apologized to the man and gave him the money, but he knew it wouldn't help. Goku and Krillin marveled at the enormous number of people while Roshi was registering them. Roshi pointed to the tournament's entrance and said, come on guys before we be late. The three complied with the announcer's request that whoever was to fight come this way. As he opens his suitcase, Roshi says, well, I can't go with you any further, so good luck to you two. Here, I almost forgot to give these outfits to you two guys, he says. Roshi informed them of the tournament's progress after they had changed into their new clothes. Goku and Krillin were examining the fighters as they entered the room. Cheerfully, Goku remarked, these guys look strong. While walking alongside Goku, Krillin remarked, yeah well, I'm starting to lose my confidence. The old announcer said, I wish to welcome you to the Budokai held every 5 years. Today there are 137 participants. Out of all of these only 8 will make it to the finals, he said. Well then, here are the rules. If you fall out of the ring, you use or can no longer continue or cry. It is strongly forbidden to kill your opponent or use any form of weapons. All fights will last a minute. You'll be divided into 4 groups, of which there will be 2 finalists. Will now determine the pairings, the previous announcer stated. When everyone selected their numbers, Krillin had 93 and Goku had 70. Goku says, hey, we're both in the same group, what a shame. Krillin tells Goku, I don't think we will face each other anyways. Since I'll probably lose my first match, I'm relieved that I don't have to fight you. Krillin asks Goku, do you think Roshi's training will be enough to win? Because I'm having doubts. Goku tries to reassure his bed buddy by smiling and saying, don't worry, we were tough enough to survive. Group 3 will get started. We'll start with numbers 69 and 70, the referee said. It's already my turn, huh? Goku says, flipping in the ring. Ready, Goku declares. Krillin says, good luck buddy. The following day in Konoha, Naruto greeted his team in front of the academy, saying, hey Sakura-chan. Sasuke. Sakura waved at him, and Sasuke simply nodded and smiled. Naruto, who understood what this meant, smiled back at Sasuke, and they were eager to see what kind of opponents were in store for them. As they entered the building, Naruto noticed Hinata sitting in the lobby, clearly bored. He told his team he would catch up in about an hour, and they agreed, saying they would meet on the third-floor staircase. As they left, Naruto approached Hinata, who was sighing. Other ninja were also standing outside the building, lounging on benches and other things while discussing how the exams would be. Would you like some company, Hinata-chan? He asked, and she didn't believe what she was hearing. She looked up and almost passed out, but she forced herself to stop herself. Gathering her courage, she scooted over so he could sit on her left. I don't mind if you sit with me, but what is it? And Naruto-kun? Something is off, she asked without meeting his deep-sea blue eyes, and although Naruto appeared perplexed, he responded to her. Naruto slumped and said, well, I saw you looking bored, so I thought I'd talk with you for a minute, if it's okay. She surprised Naruto with her strength by grabbing his hand as soon as he rose and brought me back down. And besides, I was waiting for my team to come from their errand. Our sensei, Hinata said, releasing her hold on Naruto's wrist. I didn't mean it like that. I just thought you had to get to the room where the exams are going to take place. And I'm also thinking about not entering this. I don't want Kiba nor Shino to be disappointed in my pathetic skill. Hinata sighed again, and Naruto took her hands and remarked, optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Without confidence and hope, nothing can be accomplished, he said. Never forget that, Hinata-chan, with such fervor that Hinata looked up at him in wonder, but she was interrupted when her teammates returned. Why aren't you with your team, Naruto? As he adjusts his glasses, the quiet Shino asks. I apologize, but I am unable to engage in small talk at this time since you are all present. I will have to leave later. With the exception of Hinata, everyone was stunned as Naruto disappeared from view. Naruto Uzumaki-kun, was Hinata's only thought. At the competition, so they will actually allow that runt to fight? I guess so. I feel bad for the kid, responded a random participant. A huge man entered the ring and began violently shaking it while Goku was warming up. What is in this place? The overgrown man looked down at Goku, who had a serious expression on his face, and said, beating you should be easy. With nothing stopping him but the referee's go signal, Goku declared, I'll show you what I can do. All right, you have a minute to start, he announced, at speed that should be impossible for a kid. Goku directed his fist to the man, but the big guy prepared for it. However, Goku went underneath the man, which caused the big dude to lose his sight. Where did he go? As the audience chuckled, he asked. The audience was startled when Goku tapped him and said, hey, behind you, laughed slightly. This knocked the man off the ring and caused him to roll out of the area into an outside wall. Well, number 70 prevails, the referee uttered while lifting his hands. I am unable to what just took place. Someone says, that fool. The man next to him, sweating nervously, said, he lost his footing and fell. Another, relieved but feeling that it wasn't true, said, oh, now I see it. Goku, you're very fortunate he didn't make it out of the ring, Krillin yells as he gets closer to Goku. He was aware of the truth as he looked at his hand. I would suggest that you refrain from fighting with all of your strength, Goku proposed. Dude, what do you mean? Krillin asked in fear as Goku asked him a few questions. Krillin? It's been a while. Yeah, a fat guy bald like Krillin said as he turned around after hearing a voice call from behind the bald midget. He felt his heart sink into a pool of ice. Krillin said, looking very anxious, hello. Why are you in this place? The obese man inquired. You can't possibly be in competition, can you? While the other fight continued as they spoke, the skinny one patted Krillin on the head. Krillin took his hand off his head and said, well, I was planning on it, yeah. What hashtag are you? The slender one said haughtily, we told you already, you don't have the skills to fight let alone win. Krillin was asked by the obese man. He recalled the number on his sheet and said, 93 inches. Karma must be a bitch, huh? The skinny one laughed a little and said, that means you will be fighting me? What? Krillin thought, terrified that he would never be able to beat him. Well, don't hurt yourself by hitting me, he said as he and Fatso left, both of them laughing uncontrollably. Goku tells himself, idiots. Who were those guys, Krillin? He inquired, observing him tending to his friend. They visited the temple where I train. He's also quite powerful, Krillin said. I'm going to go give up, which caught Goku's attention. Are you insane? Go all out against them. He applauded Krillin, adding, being confident means being content with who and what we are. Don't worry. After all, we trained with Roshi, all right? This raised Krillin's spirit tenfold, Goku said to him. The referee states, now it will number 93 and 94 inches. Good grief. Krillin exhaled deeply before making his way to the ring. As the skinny guy smiled and entered the ring, the fat guy remarked, you're so lucky. With sheer arrogance, he declared, I'll take care of this in one attack. Goku gave Krillin more encouragement, saying, go ahead and sock him good. In his mind, he was pleased that Goku had faith in him, but he said, okay, but don't keep speaking nonsense. Start. The referee shouted, hey, he chuckled as he walked straight to Krillin, his fist poised to make contact. Naruto sees Sasuke and Sakura behind a group of ninja. As he reaches the second floor, ignoring them, he heads to his team. Why are you returning so early, Naruto-K? Sakura inquired, almost adding a prefix that she probably would have, but she remained unimpressed with him even though he was winning her over. He heard a hit sound and said, yeah, I apologize for lying. Sakura-chan, I just spoke to Hinata-chan for a few minutes before her team came back. Hey, with your limited skill set, do you intend to take the Chunin exam? A voice said, you should just give now. The man with the spiky hair said, you're just a kid, his partner concurred. As she approached, a girl wearing a pink blouse said, please let us through. When she felt arms encircling her and saw a boy in orange in front of her holding the guy's wrist, she looked up to see Sasuke holding her, and back in front of her the guy with the spiked hair was about to hit her, so she staggered backwards and fell to the ground. Someone said, fast, Naruto, releasing his hand from the spiky guys, said, why would you hit one of your fellow shinobi, that low even for a Chunin? In addition, even though this is the second floor, Sakura, Naruto, are we supposed to go to the third right? Sasuke inquired, and both nodded to assist the girl with the bun. You noticed, huh? Sasuke grinned as the man in the bandana said, but then, you just seen through it. Sasuke attempted a high kick, but a green and orange blur avoided them. A green guy was seen by Sasuke holding his kick, and a short orange child was seen by Chunin holding kunai into his pants, trapping his leg. Who is this guy? Sasuke wondered furiously. The two genin, who are actually Chunin in disguise, comment that this exam's competitors seem promising. Lee follows Team 7 and challenges Sasuke. Sakura declines Lee's proposal to be his girlfriend before departing. Glancing at the man they had just seen, they were irritated by his presence but complied when he called for the group, or more precisely, Sasuke Uchiha. What do you desire, freak? Sasuke's voice was monotone as he spoke. The child stared at Sasuke with a shocked expression on his face. He proudly declared, you will fight me here and now. Now, what are you going to gain from something as trivial as a non-professional fight? Sasuke glared daggers at the child with bowl hair. Lee flipped his head to face the Team 7 as he said that, and he leapt from the balcony with a speed that no one could follow, making it to the wooden floor. Sasuke and company were suddenly experiencing some anxiety due to their difficult circumstances. Sasuke, Naruto said in a foreboding tone, who was going to win? Naruto had a suspicion that Sasuke wasn't up to par with the boy who had come before him, not because he lacked faith, but because Sasuke didn't have the training to compete with the newcomers. Rock Lee is my name. You have to give your name first in order to find out someone else's Uchiha. Sasuke. As he spoke, Lee gestured with his thumb in his own direction. So you are aware of who I am? He said, looking shocked. Lee fared in an odd fighting stance, ignoring his question. I'd like to battle you. Lee shifted his arms in a X shape before reverting to his previous stance, saying, I want to test my skills against the best of the village. The Uchiha clan. Then, he did something unexpected. He blew a kiss to Sakura, who managed to avoid it. Naruto was closely observing what was happening and looked at Lee, who was waiting for Sasuke's response with a cunning smirk on his face. So even though you are aware of my clan, you still want to fight me? Okay, I'll take you on if you wish, Sasuke said as he stepped forward, but out of nowhere, Naruto charged fist first, at Lee, who easily disposed of him with his leaf whirlwind technique, but as he was spinning, Naruto was already in his face and aimed a hill kick at him. He managed to block it, but it was more difficult than he thought. Naruto then performed a backflip before transforming into a spiral and skillfully landing on the ground, back where Sasuke was. Lee lowered his defenses and remarked, "I wish not to fight you, I only wish to fight Sasuke." Naruto's expression immediately became serious. He knew that although he had made progress, this gut was still invincibly stronger than both him and Sasuke. Sasuke and Sakura were in shock, thinking, "I didn't know Naruto was this fast," but at that Lee guy stopped his attack as if it was child's play. Naruto trailed off, saying, "I know Lee, I was just trying to observe your skills and I must be honest." He started to move toward the door, but Sasuke stopped him. "You are stronger than us. Why do you think he's more powerful than me? I am aware that we made progress during our free time," Sasuke remarked in disbelief. "Sasuke, even with your Sharingan, you will ultimately lose if you decide to fight him. I'll be waiting in the room with the others. I suppose are you coming, Sakura-chan?" As he kept walking, Naruto uttered those words. As she glances back and forth between Naruto and Sasuke, she tells him, "Yeah, okay, I'll be right there." She then dashes to catch up to Naruto. "Well, it looks like you're going to get the fight you desire," as he chased after his group, Sasuke remarked, "until we meet again." Lee grinned at the team's smart choice, but he also had a thing for Naruto. He could crush him and Sasuke at the same time, of course, because he was fascinated by both of them. As soon as he had finished thinking about them, he disappeared. Competition. Prior to when the fight started, Krillin saw that his opponent was about to punch him, so he instinctively leapt over him and, as soon as he hit the ground, kicked off, moving at superhuman speeds with his kick ready and aimed. Boom! The guy's lungs were almost empty when the kick connected, and he was thrown through the wall, shocking everyone. "Wow! I'm shocked by my new strength," Krillin said, drawing a gasp for his surprising triumph. "We're almost unstoppable because of Roshi." Goku pumped his biceps and uttered those words. Number 93 prevails. The referee paused before saying it. Due to Roshi's training, Goku and Krillin were confident that they would make it to the finals at this rate, given how easily they were controlling the competition as each fight went on. Later, Krillin faced a familiar Kung Fu master. The Kung Fu man kicked Krillin in the stomach, sending him sliding on the ring platform, and then elbowed him in the back, causing Krillin to grunt. With each attack, the man threw everything he had, panting heavily. "That's not good," a shaven man said. "He was pretty good." Another man who looked like a werewolf said, "Who are you kidding? He didn't have a chance against him." Raising his tongue, Krillin made fun of his opponent. No. With the exception of Goku, everyone was shocked when Krillin declared, "I didn't even feel that. Why, I kicked you so hard that you shouldn't be able to stand, much less talk." He retreated from the boy who was examining his body as he spoke. He began to attack, saying, "I guess Master Roshi's training paid off." However, the man gave up after realizing he couldn't win, so he didn't get the chance. Goku and Krillin are getting closer to the competition's finals. Yamcha appeared while Goku was getting ready for his next battle. He rubbed his chin and thought, "I heard that two kids were doing well, so I assumed one of them was Goku." The crowd became more fervent than ever as the referee observed both, and as it was about to calm down, the referee yelled, "Start." As he returned, he said the older man, obviously underestimating Goku, said, "I can't lose to you, kid, I'll make this quick." Goku then assumed a stance that made him appear like an airplane. Strange shape, but it will only hurt for a short while. Grab this. As he galloped to Goku and delivered a quick right punch, he was shocked to see Goku disappear from view. Where has he gone? As he searched in vain for him, he uttered these words, causing the audience to gasp in shock. He then heard a voice behind him. "I'm right here," Goku yelled as he lunged for a kick, and his opponent spun around to avoid him. The man raised both arms in an attempt to block Goku's attack, but Goku deflected it and tripped his now injured opponent. The pressure didn't let up as Goku quickly charged at him with an elbowing punch. He felt a tug on his leg as he attempted to stand up, and when he looked back, he saw his worst nightmare staring at him with a broad smile on his face. As the man attempted, but failed, to break free, Goku counted, 1, 2. "What are you doing?" he tells Goku, who simply ignores him. And 3. Before turning him around and hurling him out of the arena, Goku uttered those words. "He'll make it to the top 8, the referee said, and Goku cheered with joy. Krillin told Goku, "Great job, you showed them who's boss." Goku gave his best friend a hug in return. Everyone's attention was drawn to the referee's statement, "Next match will be between S93 and 97 inches. Krillin, you must advance to the final 8, Hyper," said Goku. With a confident smile, Krillin said, "No problem, I got it, Goku." Goku heard someone call out to him as Krillin continued to stare at his opponent. "Who are you?" called Goku. He couldn't place it, but he knew he had seen this person before. The man gave Goku a smile before striking a fighting stance that he was certain Goku would remember. He yells his technique, Wolf Fang Fist, knowing that Goku would recall it. Goku uttered an agnostic, "Oh my gosh," the door of the Konoha Shinobi Lounge. They noticed their sensei at the door. As they approached it, he turned to his team and put his book in his pocket. "If I told the truth, Naruto or Sasuke would have pressured you to take the exam even if you want to. If Sasuke asked you, you would, even though it wasn't in your heart, for the sake of Sasuke and well, Naruto too," Kakashi said while staring at the genin. Sakura began to reassure, "So if only Sasuke-kun and Naruto-kun shown up," but was cut off. The copy ninja grinned and said, "The exam would have ended here. They would not have gotten any further, but you all came of your free will. You guys are my team and I'm proud of you guys." However, Naruto soon moved forward. Naruto looked at his sensei and said, "Hey, Kakashi-sensei, what about Goku? Isn't he part of our team as well?" He moved aside to let his students pass through the double doors, explaining, "Well, you won't be eliminated because the minimal of teams is 3 and with Goku that makes 4 total, so don't worry about it, okay, Naruto?" He said, "Now go." As they unlocked the door, as they walked into the room with other ninja from all over the world, Sasuke said, "Yay, let go, Sakura, Naruto." When Team 7 discovers that they are just 3 of more than 100 genin aspiring to become Chunin, they are shocked. They interact with the members of Teams 8 and 10, who belong to the same academy graduating class, but they are still inexperienced compared to the other examinees. Kabuto becomes their friend and provides them with information about the exams and their participants. Naruto loudly declares that he will defeat them all, even though this is only intended to scare them. Naruto gets looks of rage for what he says when Kabuto explains the Chunin exams. Team Dosu uses the occasion to criticize him for underselling their Otobikure. The exam proctors, under the direction of Ibiki, show up and defuse the situation to keep it from getting worse. The genin are given seats after it is revealed that the first part of the tests will be a written exam. Much to Naruto's dismay, they have 30 minutes to respond to 10 questions. If someone is found to be cheating too frequently, both they and the rest of their team will be eliminated. To the dismay of Sasuke and Sakura, if any one member of the team fails the test, the entire team will also be eliminated. Naruto and his group passed the written exams while everything was going on at the World Tournament, but what happened after the window broke revealed Enko Mitarashi, a pretty woman with purple hair, a trench coat, and fishnets. The start of the flashback, everyone gasped in shock because they didn't notice the tall, white-haired ninja who informed them of the Rain Ninja's identity as the rookie genin appeared terrified, with the exception of Sasuke and Naruto. Of course, he said he would use his ninja info cards to show them information as they continued their conversation. At that moment, Sasuke moved forward and turned to face the white-haired man who was grinning. Sasuke pointed to the man to indicate that he was speaking directly to him and said, "Hey, do you have everything on certain people or what?" The man raised an eyebrow and coolly drew a few cards to his hand. The deck of cards was laid out on the floor, and Kabuto waited for Sasuke to reveal the names. "So you need some info on the competition? Alright, but know that these cards are not 100%, but it should be fairly close. Now who do you wish to know of Sasuke?" he asked. As he waited for the information, he said, "Gaara from the desert, Lee of the Leaf, and Naruto of the Leaf." Naruto looked at Sasuke, finding it strange that he was calling his name, but he put it down for the time being. Lee's name appeared after he poured chakra into one of the 3 cards he had laid out on the ground. "Alright, he's a year older than you guys. His mission history is D rank 20, C rank 12 guy is his sensei, and his taijutsu is amazing. Neji Hyuga and 1010 are his teammates." After acknowledging this information, Sasuke nodded and instructed Kabuto to proceed. Gaara comes next. "Whoa. It's impossible. His injury-free record is impressive." Shocked, including Naruto and Sasuke, Kabuto said. "Is that feasible?" Kabuto shook his head in response to Shino's statement. "I'm not sure, but it's very likely. I apologize, but I don't know about anything else." Finally, but just as importantly, Naruto, Kabuto remarked while adding chakra to the card. Mission history of Naruto Uzumaki. D rank 27, C rank 1 inch. It's interesting to note that his taijutsu is halfway above Genin. Kabuto was astounded by the child's abilities. His stats are 3 nin, 2-5 tai, 1 gen, 1-5 intel, 3 str, 3 spi, 4 sta, ohs, giving him a total of 18 inches. Sasuke pointed to himself and said, "Compare his with mine." Kabuto chuckled to himself about how the Uchiha was getting upset but was trying to control it in front of his classmates. Very well, he said, drawing another card and doing the same thing as before. He was about to say, okay when Sasuke interrupted him and told him to compare their stats. Your stats as followed are 2-5 Nin, 2-5 Tai, 1-5 Gen, 2 Intel, 2 STR, 3 Spi, 2 Sta, 3 H, giving you a total of 18.5 inches. Kabuto looked at Sasuke, who was clenching his fist so tightly that he appeared pale. Sasuke shouted to himself, how can this dobe keep up with me? Uchiha, I'm from a highly noble clan, and he's nothing but a joke far from the outside. Most of the genin felt less confident as Kabuto explained what he had said to them, but Naruto remained composed the entire time. The flashback is over. Sasuke wasn't listening to Anko's instructions because he was deep in thought. Sasuke was thinking when he finally let it drop so he could catch up on the next test. Damn, why is he so close to me? It seems like ever since Goku showed up he was gradually improving. Wait, could that be it? I remember seeing the two training a couple of months ago. He was startled when he saw Naruto barely avoid a kunai that was intended for his face and quickly grabbed one of his own to deflect it. However, the ninja who had thrown it was already behind him, pressing a kunai against his cheek. I'm not shocked by your response, brat, but remember that if you say that my explanation is imitation, did you get that, boy? Anko began to smile sadistically at him, but she stopped when she saw that Naruto had escaped her grasp and was now standing directly in front of her. Naruto made Anko blush as he walked back to his team, saying, sorry, but I can't allow you to intimidate me. Looking at him from a distance, Hinata thought, Naruto-kun is amazing. Anko concludes her explanation of the rules by stating that the genin teams must obtain both an earth and a heaven scroll upon entering the forest and arrive at the building in the center of it within 5 days in order to pass the second phase of the Chunin exam. The 26 teams of 3 are allowed entry into the forest after everyone signs consent forms absolving Konoha of responsibility in the event of their deaths. Each team will be given 1 scroll, so they must somehow steal the second scroll from another team. Before they knew it, screams could be heard in the distance as each team made their way through the enormous forest. A purple-haired woman was enjoying her dango outside the forest, and the terrifying screams came from within. Alongside our preferred ninjas, Naruto and Sasuke-kun screamed, didn't they? Sakura questioned her team. Yes, Naruto, what would you like us to do? Sakura was shocked when Sasuke asked while keeping an eye on their backs. But Sasuke-kun, why are you unable to devise a plan? She trailed off in a whisper, but Naruto heard her without her knowing it. I know Naruto gotten smarter, but still. Is there a problem with the fact that I trust him? He responded to Sakura, who nodded, and turned to face Naruto, who was approaching them while passing a scroll to them both. Is this a duplicate? As he accepted the scroll that Naruto had first given to him and then to Sakura, Sasuke inquired. She didn't know how to react, but she couldn't help but blush as she thanked him for believing in her. Naruto trailed off before he put it in her hand, saying, Sakura-chan. Yeah, I figured that since we heaven scroll we might as well not give it to each other, but... Sasuke said, well, let's get going. The group disappeared into the forest, but they were unaware that they were being followed. Soon, very soon, said a dejected, dark, and eyebrowless man. Goku finally met Yamcha during the tournament's preliminary round. After their last encounter at Capsule Corp, Yamcha saw that Goku had trained with Roshi, and Goku acknowledged that his training had been very beneficial. When Krillin easily won his match, Yamcha asked Goku if he was with him, to which Goku replied in the affirmative, disappointing Yamcha by realizing he wouldn't be able to defeat them with their superior skill and speed. Oh, Goku, did you realize that Puar, Bulma, and Oolong are also present? Yamcha responded to Goku's question with a huge grin on his face. As he ran to meet them, he exclaimed, really wow. He ran backwards to Yamcha and asked, can you take me to them? While laughing and running in place, Yamcha sighed, but he smiled and agreed. Finally, the big moment has come. As they awaited the start of the tournament's last phase, the audience was starting to grow restless. Krillin asked Goku a question about their search as Goku, Krillin, and Yamcha dashed through the crowd. As he ducked past a few more onlookers, he said, it's too crowded. How are we going to find them like this? As he was saying that, Goku leapt just far enough to see them and scoop out the area. There they are, Goku exclaimed, indicating their gradual descent. Goku's pervertishness caused him to scream Oolong's name so loudly that it knocked Roshi face first on the front side while he was on the ground. Dusting himself off as he stood up, he turned to greet him and gave him a hug. As he let go of Goku, Oolong said, Goku, how have you been, man? Bulma asked what Goku was doing here as he greeted the others, and he shocked Bulma by saying he was in the tournament. Oolong asked Yamcha Goku, "Are you in the final with Yamcha Goku?" Goku pointed to Yamcha, who was panting heavily on the ground, and remarked, "Oh yeah, he behind us on the floor. I guess he's tired." He patted Krillin's shoulders and said, "Oh, and this is Krillin, he's my training partner." Krillin bowed and said, "Pleased to meet you guys." "Hey, we're all cool, so there's no need for formalities," everyone agreed with Bulma as she pounded her fist against her chest. Then Master Roshi came up to them and inquired about their tournament status. "So, did you guys advance to the championship game?" he inquired, causing the two boys to smile broadly. "You three qualified. That's fantastic, guys," she exclaimed as she supported her pals before making an announcement. Their master said, "Congratulations." The announcement man said, "The finals will be beginning shortly. The 8 finalists are to come and register for their match UPS." Which caused Goku, Krillin, and Yamcha to leave, as well as Roshi without realizing it. The 8 fighters assemble in an undisclosed location while they wait for more orders. When the announcer shows up, he divides them into groups of 2, which will comprise the initial battles. In battle number 1, Krillin faces a repulsive fighter named Bacterian. In battle number 4, Goku faces a monster named Jiren. In battle number 3, a man named Nam faces a woman named Ranfin. And in battle number 4, Yamcha faces an enigmatic figure named Jackie Chun. The first battle, Krillin vs Bacterian, is called by the announcer. The words, "Let's do it," were spoken by Krillin as he approached the ring. Once he arrived, Bacterian also arrived, and his terrible stench almost killed anyone nearby. The announcer said, "Okay, begin," and retreated a few steps. Bacterian tried to punch Krillin as soon as the dong sound became audible, but Krillin easily avoided it. When Krillin turned around, Bacterian opened his mouth and blew his breath at him, leaving Krillin motionless. To everyone's dismay, Bacterian pulled out his hand and tried another punch while he was stuck, digging in his undies and scratching his private area. Krillin narrowly avoided it, but was struck by the foul smell he was giving off. Krillin immediately fell to the ground in an attempt to breathe. Unforgivably, Bacterian farted on Krillin's face while he was struggling to get some fresh air. In an attempt to rally his friend and carry on the battle, Goku exclaimed, "Oh God, Krillin, come snap out of it." Goku came up with a plan to save him as he started to stomp him in the ribs. He yelled loudly enough for Krillin to hear him, "Hey Krillin, now that I think about it, you don't have a nose, so his smell shouldn't affect you." This worked. He thanked Goku for saving him from elimination from the tournament. As he rose deftly from the ground, he went back to his fighting stance and gave Bacterian a fierce glare. Krillin seemed to intimidate him by saying, "Okay, my turn, you stink bomb." This time, Krillin was totally unaffected by his attempt to blow his funky breath on her. He tried to hit Krillin with his melting spit, but Krillin was moving so quickly that it didn't work. The crowd cheered as Krillin won the tournament's opening match after he swiftly dodged another shot from Bacterian, ran towards him, and kicked Bacterian painfully in the jaw, knocking him down. Krillin then farted in Bacterian's face, knocking him unconscious. Everyone was equally excited for the upcoming second fight after the first one. The night sky was windy as Team 7 continued their unsuccessful search for an Earth Scroll, causing a dull Naruto to gripe every 5 minutes. Sasuke motioned for them to take a break with his hand when he noticed that no one was nearby. With a deep sigh, Sakura strolled over to a nearby tree and took a quick nap on its ledge. Sasuke, meanwhile, couldn't get rid of Naruto's sense of intimacy and skill. After all, how could a clanless individual compete with someone who possessed one of the most terrifying dojutsu in the world? He whispered, "This is nonsense," but Naruto appeared to hear him. Despite Sasuke's mounting ire at him, Naruto asked, "What's nonsense, Sasuke?" Sasuke dismissed it and turned to think about it for a while, but Naruto's voice interrupted him. Sasuke turned around and gave Naruto a death glare, but Naruto maintained a strong face despite his weakening legs. "Hey, what's the matter with you?" Naruto asked. He lounged at Naruto while clenching his teeth and hit him in the face, sending him to the ground. Sasuke then followed up with his left arm, pinning him to the tree and causing him to lose some air. When he opened his eyes, he saw Sasuke with his tomos in both sockets and his eyes red. It seems that he finally got both in each eye. Naruto pondered. A trickle of blood fell out of the side of his mouth as he was distracted from his thoughts of gratitude by the Uchiha's powerful rib shot. Regaining his strength, Naruto kicked him in the stomach by lifting both of his feet and using the tree to support his back. Naruto yelled, "What the hell? What are you doing, Tem?" As Sakura was awakened, I need to know, Sasuke uttered as he quickly withdrew a kunai from his pouch and sprinted in the direction of a bewildered Naruto. Naruto responded by drawing his own kunai and engaging in combat. The blonde exclaimed, "What? No what?" after being elbowed in the chest and landing on his back. The pink brunette whimpered, "Sasuke-kun, Naruto-kun, why are you two fighting?" Out loud Naruto glanced up at her before turning back to Sasuke. Sasuke yells at her, "I need to know my limits," which causes Naruto to get back up. He scowled down at Sasuke while wiping the blood from his mouth. Naruto said coolly, "Now's not the time. If you really want to test yourself, just wait until the exams are over, then I promised I will fight you." Sasuke gave him a blank, expressionless stare. Sasuke said, "After the exams," as he leapt onto a tree. Following a brief period of silence, however, just as he was ready to land, a 10-foot-tall sandstorm attempted to trap him, but he easily evaded it. Sakura and Naruto were horrified to see the enigmatic redhead surrounded by a demonic aura. He exclaimed, "Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha, you two birds in one stone." Ag. As sand started to aim for Sakura, whom Naruto had called out to and attempted to save. "Sakura-chan, no!" exclaimed Naruto. After the battle with Bacterian, some time had passed, and everyone was waiting for Goku and Jackie-chun, the two finalists, to take action. As a tiny gust of wind blew past Goku, who was using the afterimage technique to confuse the skilled man. No one was making any noise. He was unaware that Jackie was already ready for a move like this and vanished, using ki alone to knock Goku down. As he regained his balance and jumped into his fighting stance once more, Goku remarked, "Interesting, you have some skills, Gramps. You're not bad yourself. Say, who trained you?" Jackie asked, posing a straightforward query. He shocked the audience by saying, "My grandpa and Master Roshi." He explained that the strongest man in the world had trained him. With a nod, he ran and punched Goku, but he caught him in the act and swiftly swept Roshi, knocking him down. Jackie used his momentum to bring his right leg down on Goku with one hand, but he deflected the kick with his left and elbowed Jackie in the stomach, almost knocking him off balance. Roshi dropped to one knee and gathered his ki for an assault. Jackie cupped his hands together and said, "Hey kid, if you trained with Roshi, then you must have known about the technique I gave him guidance for." Goku's eyes widened in shock. "What, you can do it too?" he exclaimed, shocked. As Goku started the chanting, he became anxious about the situation he was now in. He had no choice but to follow the strange old man's example. They both cried out in unison, "Kamehameha!" as two brilliant blue beams joined and created an explosion that knocked the plates off the ground, amazing the crowd over the throbbing sound of energy colliding. Cheers could be heard, and Yamcha was astounded by Goku's progress. As Bulma clung to Yamcha's arm for support during their earthquake-like experience, Krillin remarked, "Wow, what power, I didn't know Goku had this much energy in him." A few more seconds later, boom, the arena was obscured from everyone's view by a miniature mushroom cloud. Jackie was standing with his shirt off when the cloud vanished. However, Goku was struggling to maintain his knee position. His right leg of his pants was completely gone up to his upper thigh, and he was bleeding. His GI was turned over his right breast, and he looked a complete mess. It would be an understatement to say that everyone was impressed by what they saw, a small child surviving one of the deadliest techniques in the world. They were completely hypnotized. Jackie considered his pupil's leg and thought, "Interesting, Goku diverted my blast to receive minimal damage, very smart, but in the end you gave up the use of your right leg, leaving you unable to walk." To his astonishment, however, Goku was starting to rise from the earth with great difficulty. Goku grinned and said, "I can't lose now. Hey, I have to make my master proud of me and win this tournament." The audience, including his friends, applauded. Jackie gave him a closer look and remarked, "While you do have fighting spirit, you can't continue with only a broken leg and arm. If I were you, I give up now and try to improve myself to be an even better fighter." Goku smiled and raised his injured right leg, saying, "Hey, true, I might not be able to continue fighting, but how about one more attack?" "No," he complied, shaking his head. Both of them leapt in the direction of each other and struck, Jackie with a roundhouse kick and Goku with a flying dragon kick. Wham! Following their decision, they both kicked one another before soaring from the ring and landing hard on the floor. As the runner-up, Goku was offered $500,000, but he declined and gave it to his friends, who gladly accepted. Jackie, who was disappointed, told Goku that if he had mastered his ki to a significant level, he might have won. Bulma gave Goku and his companions a sumptuous dinner after he left the hospital, and then Goku departed to return to Konoha. As he bids his friends farewell, he makes a commitment to return eventually so he can visit his other pals. They said they couldn't board the Nimbus with Goku and that they would come another time when he asked if they wanted to come. Goku was waiting for his journey as he soared through the clouds. Sasuke moves Sakura out of the way and avoids the sand as Naruto pauses his movement and looks at the red head just before Sakura is struck. He cracked his knuckles and said, "So, you're gonna be the one I get to take down first? Okay, then I need to get my anger out on someone anyway?" After turning on his Sharingan, Sasuke assumed his stance and awaited the beginning of a signal. Naruto pushed himself away and yelled, "Shadow Clone Jutsu!" As he backflipped onto a tree, 5 Narutos suddenly materialized and charged the boy they knew to be Gaara. As he got closer, some sand appeared, knocking the real Naruto and all of the clones down and trapping them in 2 trees after running through a few hand signals. Sasuke yelled, "Fire style! Grand Fireball Jutsu!" But it didn't work, socking Sasuke. "Is this the best you guys can do? You two are pathetic, ha 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 ha." Gaara's wild laughter frightened Sakura, who was merely watching. Sasuke attempted to practice taijutsu while running, but it was tiresome because Gaara's sand shielded him from every blow. How in the hell can someone be this strong? Sasuke regrouped on a branch and uttered those words, "I can only slow him down at this point. Long-range attacks don't seem to work and neither does close range. Tisk." He was starting to question whether Naruto was still alive as he stared at the forest that he had been knocked into. "When you need that Dobi, where is he?" I thought to myself. Gaara exclaimed, "Hiei, I'm not done Uchiha," as sand started to form in the shape of a ball around the perimeter of their current location. Sakura thought in a panic, "This is not good. Sasuke can't get close and Naruto is nowhere to be seen." He prepared himself for the inevitable as soon as the sand was thrown at Sasuke. However, at that precise moment, Naruto, wearing a red cloak of chakra, generated off his body like fire, negating Gaara's attack. He appeared to be a demonic creature with red eyes with a slit, claw-tuned nails, and more feral-looking whiskers. Sakura and Sasuke were terrified just by the sight of him, but Gaara was grinning insanely while his body was encased in a ball of sand that prevented him from being seen from the outside. Sasuke and Sakura saw Naruto holding Gaara to the ground after he disappeared, growling like a bloodthirsty beast from their vantage point. It appeared as though Naruto was going to beat him to death, but Sakura intervened. Sakura was terrified when Naruto roared at her, causing her to fall to the ground. He then delivered a powerful blow to his face after shaking the forest roughly 20 times. Naruto became calm after realizing that Gaara had transformed into sand. This frustration caused Naruto to lose consciousness and fall into Sakura's lap. "What's up with you, Naruto?" With tears in her eyes, Sakura stroked his face and thought. So a sand clone was sent by that Gaara guy. However, why did he abandon this Earth Scroll? He must have done this for a reason. Oh no, and if I can't even defeat him, let alone that idiot Lee, how in the world am I going to exact revenge on my clan? He continued to argue with himself. They ended their night with Sasuke taking first watch after deciding to wait until Naruto woke up and rested until he was awake and prepared to go. Goku noticed that the ninja population was shorter than usual when he arrived in Konoha after descending from Nimbus. He entered the main entrance and discovered that the regular guards were dozing off grinning. He then spoke with the Hokage he pumped into Anko, the snake mistress, while he was on foot. Goku gave her a puzzled look as she jumped on his case, saying, "Hey bub, watch where you going, you little boy." Goku cheerfully pumped each fist in the air and said, "Huh, what are you talking about? I'm a martial artist and ninja." Anko glanced at the tail on his back and blinked a few times. She knelt down to examine his tail and said, "Hey kid, why the hell do you have a tail?" Goku said, "Yeah, but do you gghhh," but quickly felt all of his energy leave him as he collapsed to the ground, panting. Anko took hold of his tail and began licking her lips while rubbing it up and down like a male stick. After releasing Goku, who appeared to be doing well, she said, "Hey brat, what do you use this tail for anyway? From what I can tell it seems to make you weak." "I'm not sure, but my grandpa said to not let anyone touch it. I'll forgive you this time since you didn't know, and to answer your question, I use it for balancing me and to take a bath with, but I didn't know it grew back so fast." Laughs, he said with a growl in his stomach. He started running to the ramen shop that Naruto had taken him to before heading to the Hokage, saying, "Well, see you old lady." Running after the boy, she yelled, "Hey, who are you calling old, you monkey humanoid freak? Get back here," and threatened to castrate him and shove his testicles into her snakes. While Goku laughed, she had no idea that her trench coat was flopping everywhere from her wild running, allowing some fortunate bystanders to admire her amazing round cleavage, which also had nosebleed. Dawn in the Forest of Death. Sakura couldn't resist dozing off after last night's event, watching Naruto while Sasuke looked for traps around their perimeter. Additionally, Sasuke was thinking about another boy named Gaara, and that boy was none other than Naruto. Where did Naruto get the power he showed off last night? Sasuke thought as he relived the events of that evening. Whatever that power was, it was utterly evil, as demonstrated when Naruto, the boy who had admired Sakura since the academy days, literally roared at her until she fell, and then he destroyed Gaara, or who they were, completely destroying Gaara. He pushed those thoughts from his mind and returned just as Naruto was waking up from his sleep. When Naruto noticed Sakura was sleeping nearby, he stretched and took a moment to appreciate her beauty while she slept soundly, since everything he remembered from the previous night was being flung into trees. He grinned and got up to check on Sasuke. He saw Sasuke sitting on a nearby branch as he emerged from the tree that was hiding Sakura, and him gathering his courage, he went up to Sasuke, who called out to him after he took 2 steps. He interrupted the bird singing in the otherwise peaceful forest and said, "Naruto, do you feel strong enough to make it to the tower right now?" Naruto inquired inquisitively, "Why yeah, but that aside, how were you able to drive away Gaara?" He knew that both of them were outclassed, so it seemed odd that he could pull off such a feat by himself. "We had a little help dealing with Gaara. Come and get Sakura. We're going to try and get to the tower before noon at best. According to my knowledge, if we go around towards the side of the infrastructure of the tower, we could avoid going against any strong opposition, or at least run into weak ninja," Sasuke said as he presented the Earth Scroll to Naruto, who grabbed it. As he ran back to the area he had been in, Naruto said, "All right, I'll go and get Sakura." After a short while, Team 7 had moved out at roughly half their speed in order to conserve strength in case they encountered difficulties, and they were correct. A grass ninja who had an unusually long tongue and an excessive amount of chakra stood in their way. The nin said, almost like a snake, "Kukuku, why in such a russish? Sasuke Uchiha." Naruto was the first to speak, immediately drawing their kunai knives into a defensive stance. "Who are you?" Naruto asked, a little uneasy, but he could sense that this person had a murderous intent that was nearly as strong as Zabuza's. The feminine-sounding ninja appeared behind Sakura and immediately took her hostage, saying, "My name is none of importance at this time. However, I'm curious, how did a brat like you were able to become so strong after a short amount of time?" "Ah, Sasuke-kun. Naruto-kun, help me," she cried out. When the grass ninja smirked and threw Sakura into Sasuke, who caught her with an expert roll, Naruto and Sasuke both nodded and ran at full speed. Before he knew it, Naruto had been punched in the stomach, which was supposed to be an uppercut, but he deflected it and tried a somersault, but the evil ninja easily ducked it and came charging at him while he was still in mid-air. The now male voice pulled out his Kusanagi sword and thrust it forward to the genin's chest, saying, "Since you won't share your secrets, I'll just kill you here and stop this progress you made." As it was about to come into contact, a recognizable voice yelled, "Power pole extend," and a red pole swung through, knocking the now snake-looking man to the ground. While defending Sakura, Sasuke marveled at Son Goku, who had just saved both Naruto and himself. As Anko materialized behind him, Goku exclaimed, "Hey guys, it seemed Anko was right, huh, Orochimaru?" Before focusing on the snake demon, Anko said to Goku, "Hey, you reckless kid, ya know that?" He gritted his teeth and eventually composed himself in the face of this difficult circumstance, grinning. Anko screamed, "You bastard, what makes you think you can come back after all the shit you've done to this village, Orochimaru?" Her formal sensei just grinned. Ignoring Kusanagi approaching from behind Naruto, Sasuke asked, "What's so funny?" Orochimaru said, "Nothing really," but, before expanding his neck from his head and biting Sasuke on the neck before he had a chance to react, Naruto was hit in the heart area and coughed up a lot of blood after everyone gasped. "Naruto!" Goku cried out for his friend and ran to where he was. By the time he reached Naruto, he was unconscious. Goku looked angrily at Orochimaru, who was laughing uncontrollably. Orochi made fun of Goku, saying, My, I never expected to see a boy care for this miserable demon child. He can't be saved no matter what happens, Kukuku." However, Goku was unfazed by the snake's remarks and maintained a fierce glare. Goku yelled, "You know, I was always scared of losing someone close to me. Bulma, Oolong, Yamcha, Krillin, Roshi, Sarutobi, Team 7, and Naruto, you hurt him and I won't forgive you for this." As he charged at him at a speed that startled both Orochimaru and Anko, Orochimaru makes hand signals as he leaps back to get some distance from Goku. Orochimaru exclaimed, "Wind style, great breakthrough," as a strong wind gust approached Goku. Goku was quickly behind Orochimaru after seeing through this move with ease and using an afterimage. Orochimaru turned around in time to block Goku's blow to the snake demon's back, but Goku was still able to knock him off the branch he had earlier retreated on. Orochi grinned at the boy's physical prowess from a small crater, noting that he was undoubtedly far more powerful than a typical genin. He had to block another of Goku's punches because he was unable to continue analyzing him, but the final two hit Orochimaru in the jaw. Goku exploited this by using his right foot to kick him in the chest and his left foot to kick him in the face, causing him to crash into a tree and destroy it. In addition to being able to fight at a level with her former sensei, Goku was also able to put him on the defensive bar, leaving Anko stunned. Anko, however, sensed that Goku would not be able to continue fighting at this rate and knew that the battle was far from over. Goku paused for a moment before realizing that the tree's debris was producing mud. Anko cautioned Goku to leave since he was aware that this was the mud clone jutsu. He complied and soon discovered that he, along with Anko, was immobile. As he and Anko were trapped in Orochimaru's binding genjutsu while attempting to escape, Goku exclaimed, "What is this? I can't move." As he extended his head, the snake Sanin remarked, Interesting, you seem to also have a lot of potential. It seems I should probably give you the curse seal as well. You could be a powerful host once I'm done with Sasuke's body." A few seconds later, a revitalized Naruto grabbed Orochimaru's head with his bare hand with great force, barely moving Naruto. As he struggled to break free, Orochimaru remarked, "So using the Nine Tails power grants you unusual amounts of chakra and strength, it seems." With the exception of Goku, who was relieved that Naruto was okay, he had not used any of the fox's chakra at all when Naruto looked him in the eye. As Naruto struck Orochi in the face with such force that it shook the area they were in, he declared, "The most I can do for my friend is simply be his friend, because he along with Team 7 saved from that fate and I will not let you hurt them. Loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty." Naruto's arrival later freed and saved Anko and Goku, but the blonde was unintentionally devoted to Goku. Naruto was crying before he woke up and heard everything Goku said, which gave him the strength to fight again. In his thoughts, Naruto silently thanked Goku for being one of his friends. When they all woke up later, Ankasaing's message said that she would have to inform the Hokage of the situation and wish them luck. Goku and Team 7 headed to the tower to put an end to this nightmare. As he adjusted his specs, Kabuto remarked, "Back so soon, Lord Orochimaru? I thought you would toy with Sasuke a bit longer?" The reflection was visible in a dark cave. With a wicked laugh that frightened the nearby birds, Orochimaru said, "No, not at all. I just found out that another boy who possesses powers similar to the Senju clan is within Sasuke's team. If I could get his body and Sasuke's, I believe the mutation will give me a dojutsu of which the Sage of Six Path also possessed, the Rinnegan." As the group entered the tower, Sasuke started to feel a lot of pain on the left side of his neck and collapsed to his knees, gasping for air while Naruto and Goku helped him stand. But soon the pain went away, and they read the kanji, which was clearly missing bits of information, and kept opening their scroll. Through the scroll, Iruka materialized, gave them a brief explanation of his selection as their summoning, and wished them luck in the future. In the mansion of the Hokage, when Sarutobi and the two Chunin, Katetsu and Izumo, entered the building, Anko was also in pain. "Anko dear, how are you feeling at the moment?" "Not too bad, I hope," Sarutobi remarked as he sat down next to the attractive snake, who was in pain but was better able to hide it. Sarutobi was aware of this, but Anko boastfully remarked, "Hey, Hokage-sama, you underestimate me. This is pain hurt as much as being bitten by a mosquito. I'll be fine, honest." Katetsu started, "By the way, isn't Orochimaru one of the three powerful Sannin?" To Izumo's dismay, he picked his nose and concluded, "Isn't he in the handbook 5 missing ninja that even Anbu can't get within his range? I had heard he was deceased, but as of the situation, I can see otherwise." Izumo added, "The real money question is why would he even bother returning?" With a puff from his pipe, Sarutobi turned to face Anko. The Hokage asked to confirm the response. "Sasuke Uchiha is what Orochimaru is after, correct, Anko?" She shook her head in agreement. "Hokage-sama, I may not have mentioned it to you, but I think he is also after Son Goku. He even attempted to mark him with that vile curse seal." Sarutobi's eyes enlarged at this. According to Kakashi, Goku is the team's strongest link because Sasuke is the second best at moving and fighting with a high degree of accuracy. If Goku were to be branded with the curse seal, he would even outperform himself if he used the second stage of it to its fullest. She paused to inform the Hokage that she was prepared, saying, "Also, I planted one of my tracker snakes on him and found out something puzzling. He claimed that a member from Sasuke's team has Senju blood running through their veins." She was terrified of what Sarutobi would do, but she kept it to herself. "Senju as in Hashirama Senju, the first Hokage." He said it out loud, but nobody could hear him because the walls, floor, and ceiling were sealed with soundproof material. She added, "That's right, but I find it hard to believe because the group composes of the Uchiha, Haruno, Sun, and Uzumaki." The Hokage then went on to explain who it might be, and Enko added some concluding information. As everyone gasped at this disturbing revelation, she closed her eyes and concluded, "Please excuse my interruption, Hokage-sama." But Orochimaru also said that by combining Sasuke's and this unknown Senju person's chakra together could give him the Sage of Six Paths Rinnegan Dojutsu. There was a pause before the Hokage started outlining the possible identity of this Senju. In the initial stadium, Sasuke started whimpering in pain again as the team listened carefully to the sick proctor's instructions. Goku saw this but was, at most, unsure of what to do. Naruto watched as closely as Goku, and Sakura begged Sasuke. As Sasuke turned to face her with a look of disgust, she said, "Sasuke-kun, I think you should quit as well, you're no longer at 100% in your neck." "No, Sakura, I came here to see how good I could be against everyone else. If you truly care about me, Sakura, then leave me alone. But if I know I can't take any more pain, I'll let you know I won't let some neck pain stop me from doing this deal." While waiting for her response, Sasuke argued for his stay, glaring at Naruto and Goku, the latter of whom appeared preoccupied. Naruto shrugged his shoulders, and Sakura took a deep breath and nodded. "Let's start the games. We will hold 10 fights because there are 20 contestants here," the proctor stated before being cut off. Naruto raised Goku's hand to indicate who he was referring to and said, "Hey, you mean 21 contestants?" The proctor nodded and rearranged the majority of what he had said after looking up at the Hokage for confirmation. It took some time for the matches to start, and everyone in the room was staring at the boy who had just declared that he would be fighting. Most of them were scared, apathetic, drooling, and relieved that the boy had shown up. And the first game started 15 minutes later. Kurenai made a few remarks as Naruto Uzumaki and Shino Aburame were glaring down at each other as names flashed on the board. Naruto grinned as he flipped over the railing and landed beautifully on the ground, unintentionally stunning a few chicks as well. Shino scattered in bugs to the arena floor. She confidently remarked, "It seems that Naruto will have a lot of trouble. It's too bad he has to fight my Shino." However, Kakashi came up behind them and listened to her. He read his pervy book in a bland manner, but most of the other joinin were shocked. "I wouldn't count Naruto out yet. He's changed considerably since the academy days. If I were to gauge him on pure combat ability, he would a little below Sasuke of the Uchiha clan." "Are you two prepared for Naruto Uzumaki and Shino Aburame's first match?" As he waited for their responses, the proctor said, with both of them nodding. He cut his hands down and pulled away to a safe distance. Naruto created 2 shadow clones without any limitations, and the 2 charged Shino remained composed. He made a hand gesture and spoke softly. He said, "Wall of insect jutsu." Then, Kakaichu bugs began to spread out at such a rapid pace that they immediately dispersed as soon as the 2 clones made contact. However, at the same moment, Naruto experienced a flash that appeared to be a lost memory. He thought, "What in the," but was jolted back to reality when more insects charged after him, causing him to flip backward 3 times as each school of bugs repeatedly crashed to the ground. "Will you run all day or fight Naruto? In any case, my Kikaichu will have you at their mercy," Shino declared, raising his hands as more insects descended from above Naruto, who was on the verge of becoming entangled in the dense swarm of insects. "That won't occur. No matter what, Shino, I can't lose here," Naruto said. After rolling out of the way, Naruto threw 4 kunai at Shino, all of which were deflected by Shino's own. Nevertheless, Naruto smirked and disappeared in a cloud of smoke, and one of the kunai puffed into him from above, causing him to fall face first after an axe kick to the top of his head. Shino remained motionless for a few seconds before the proctor declared Naruto the winner. However, as soon as Naruto's guard was dropped, he was devoured by an enormous number of bugs. When the audience was shocked to learn that Shino was a clone and never engaged in combat, Shino made his presence known. "It's over, Naruto. My insect spare has you in its grasp. If you don't acknowledge defeat, there is no way out and they will keep draining you of your chakra," he said, certain that victory was imminent, but he received no response. After about 5 more minutes, the Kikaichu bugs were beginning to fall to the ground and die when Shino held up 5 of his fingers. The insects' noise increased, indicating to the onlookers that he was sucking out more chakra than before. Shino thought, "Damn, how come he still has so much chakra? It's like all I'd taken and he still has about 100% left. That's impossible." However, as soon as all the bugs fell off Naruto's body, he fell to the ground and puffed away, stunning everyone because nobody could see him perform the clone. Not even the Hokage, Byakugan, or Sharingan users. The audience was shocked beyond belief when Shino, who was almost out of chakra, felt a cold steel on his neck and instantly gave in. Naruto, the class idiot and dead last, outwitted and outmaneuvered one of the most intelligent people in the Academy's history. The proctor declared that Naruto had won, and Naruto headed to his team. Sakura gave him the thumbs up when he got there, and Sasuke grinned broadly, but Goku was much more impressed by Naruto's increasing strength. Kakashi then approached Naruto and started. "How did you create a shadow clone without even the Hokage knowing, Naruto?" he questioned his pupil, who smiled like a certain former Hokage. "Well, it was really easy. Once Goku gave me some key tips to help me control my chakras with his assistance. I kind of used them for my control so I wouldn't have to use signs all the time," he said joyfully. "I channeled my chakra and sent myself to one of them and a clone in the other when I launched the kunais at Shino. I'm going to assume that your shadow clone was the one who kicked Shino's insect clone, and you waited until Shino expended the majority of his chakra before hitting yourself." Kakashi, who was nearly as impressed as Goku, remarked, "Amazingly, so that you didn't leave a trace to let people know you came back." He put his arms behind his head and said, "Yeah, that's pretty much it." "Well, Naruto, when the fights are over, do you think you're prepared for that rematch?" Goku claimed to have practiced his punches. "You'd better think so," Naruto joyfully cheered. In disguise as the sound Jonin, Orochi thought, "That brat was able to make a shadow clone with me. Orochimaru of the Sannin. Knowing? Naruto-kun, you may be of some use after all aside from your unique Senju gift." After the match with Shino, Naruto was starting to gain a lot more respect than he had in his early years, and it goes without saying that he wasn't arrogant enough about his victory to allow attention to divert him as names started to flash again. Everyone's hearts seemed to stop thumping in fear of facing a formidable foe. With a self-assured grin, Goku was so excited that he accidentally bent the railing he was holding as the names slowed down. The selected were Yoroi Akado versus Sasuke Uchiha. As his name was displayed, Sasuke grinned and leapt over the railing he and his team were standing on, landing on the ground with Yoroi in tow. When the proctor started informing the fighters, Sasuke turned to face his team, especially Goku, and noticed a genuine smile on his face. "Are the two competitors prepared?" said the proctor. Looking at Naruto and Goku, Orochimaru thought, "Sasuke-kun, let's see if you live up to your reputation in the leaf." "Start." As he gained some distance, the proctor remarked. A certain Hyuga thought, "Now it begins," and the fight started. The fighters both grabbed their pouches and hurled kunai at one another, but Yoroi's hand appeared to be different. Sasuke thought back on his talk with Kakashi as he sprinted in the direction of his adversary. "Don't use any chakra-based attacks, Sasuke, that includes the Sharingan," Kakashi remarked as he materialized next to him. He agreed despite not agreeing with what his sensei had told him. He was getting ready for battle and was about to jump over, but Kakashi had the final say. "Fine, I won't use any ninjutsu," he said, irritated. "The curse seal is part of that. Use extreme caution," Kakashi said, backing away from Sasuke's earshot. "If it comes to that, I'll stop your match." After gathering his thoughts, Sasuke flipped onto his feet and ran again to Yoroi, who was grinning behind the cloth covering his lower face. He pulled out two shurikens and threw them at a 90-degree angle, confusing Yoroi. Before smirking and throwing a giant shuriken straight at him, Yoroi was ready to dodge, but he ducked beneath the giant shuriken and asked arrogantly, "Hee wimp, who are you aiming at?" Yoroi let out an overconfident scream. "Nah, I wasn't aiming at you, idiot." Smiling, Sasuke flicked his pinky fingers simultaneously on both hands, causing the impaled shurikens to fly towards Yoroi, who was wide-eyed. His footing was lost due to his crouching, so he had to brace himself but ended up wrapped in ninja wire. "You're a jerk," Yoroi screamed after falling for the pitiful ruse the Uchiha had set up for him. As he analyzed the fight thus far, Kakashi reflected. Sasuke used an academy-level tactic and tricked the Sound Nin into expecting a good fight because he was a Uchiha. Everyone in the room was impressed by the last Uchiha's use of a tacky move to fool the Sound Nin. Orochimaru was most taken aback because he thought Sasuke would use jutsu to win the battle, but he had only used skill and cunning. Goku's tail started to twirl with excitement as he thought, "Amazing, Sasuke's a better fighter than what I gave him credit for. I really want to fight him now," but it wasn't unnoticed. Well, Goku, huh? You have a tail, but why?" Sakura nervously inquired, but Goku turned to respond. "Sakura, I really don't," as he turned back to watch the battle with Sasuke and Yoroi. Goku clarified, "But with it I feel stronger, and my grandpa said I always had it since I was born, not counting the time I lost it at Pilaf's castle." Yoroi refused to give up on the field, so Sasuke had to knock him out in order to advance the remaining matches. However, Yoroi managed to escape this crude trap, and before Sasuke could react, the chakra-absorbing man grabbed him, leaving him to struggle from the man's surprisingly strong grip. Uchiha, what are you going to do now? Yoroi asked, tightening his grip on Sasuke's forehead as he felt lightheaded. Sasuke had to move quickly to avoid losing this match, and he was reminded of the strongest person he had ever known. Neji, Goku, Gaara, Kankuro, Rock Lee, and lastly, Naruto. The strange thing was that the marks around his neck were starting to spread around his body, generating lots of wild and ominous chakra with purple as the color. The fact that his right eye had a different blue Sharingan in the eye shook even the Hokage and Orochimaru because neither of them saw this form of it. Sasuke miraculously found his inner resolve and threw Yoroi off of him with tremendous force after opening his eyes. He spoke with a gentle smile. He said in a dark voice, "Now, to get rid of my curse." His 8 blue star pupils whirled around so quickly that a vortex formed, absorbing some of everyone's chakra to form a seal that no one could see. Tenku Sakuho Shiru. This seal collected all of the aforementioned chakra in a condensed space around his curse mark, and once it was planted, the curse seal vanished from his neck, leaving Orochimaru in shock. When Hiruzen made this discovery, his pipe fell out of his mouth. What in the hell is this? I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. Sasuke's chakra was literally pushing him back against a nearby wall, as if he couldn't control his own movements, until he was pressed up against it, as the man backing away could feel. What's not right? I assumed you would steal my chakra, Sasuke remarked. Hey, from the looks of things it seemed that I absorbed but a portion of everyone's chakra to make my own for whatever I pleased, as he stood about 3 feet away from Yoroi, who was now terrified and perspiring profusely. No, you wouldn't, he said, terrified that his life would be taken. You wouldn't kill me, this is just an exam. I wouldn't. Before he knew it, Sasuke collapsed from chakra fatigue and was brought to the relief center. He asked, tilting his head back slightly and grinning at his opponent. He casually forced him to look into his eyes and literally sealed him into his very being, winning. Sasuke's victory made Naruto happy that he made it, but he was also uncomfortable about what had happened. Even though he loved Sakura, he couldn't deny that she was physically inferior to all of them, but she had improved to a level that was comparable to Sasuke's during the wave mission. Since Goku was the strongest member of their team, aside from Kakashi, he shouldn't have any issues, but he kept the thoughts to himself because the next battle was between Neji Hyuga and Son Goku. With a smile on his face, Goku let out a happy cry, leapt onto the railing, and front flipped down to the ground arena, followed by Neji. Neji, who was curious to see how Naruto could overtake him after Sasuke had trained him, said, "All right, time to see his skills for myself." Goku and Neji were staring at each other intensely, Goku with a look of desire and Neji with a look of hatred, while many people conversed. "How do you think your boy will fare against one of mine, my dear rival?" Guy said as he and his group walked up to Kakashi's. He looked up apathetically from his makeup book and shrugged. He looked down at Sasuke, who was observing them out of the corner of his eye, and said, "To be honest, I have no idea because he just returned after a day ago from a martial arts tournament." Before returning to his original location, Kakashi whispered to Guy, "But I will say this, as it's not relevant, Goku is the best fighter of all Konoha genin." "Well, at least he was before he left," he added in a comedic manner, causing Guy to stagger over and raise his feet. Neji wanted to ask a question on the field. "How are you doing? I don't recall seeing you with Kakashi's team at the beginning," Neji stated authoritatively, but Goku merely gestured to Naruto without turning to face him. "Naruto made me enter after I saved them from Or." Goku paused, realizing that this was an S-ranked secret. Goku laughed and lied, saying, from a roach, a giant roach." Neji assumed his Hyuga stance and shook his head. With an attitude akin to Sasuke's, he declared, "Pitiful Naruto gets an Aburame. Sasuke gets that chakra-absorbing nin, and I get stuttering idiot. No matter, I will defeat you because even with that get-up, you're no match for a Hyuga. I'll have you know that I got this get-up from the strongest man in the world before Mutaito and Sage of Six Paths, Master Roshi of Turtle Hermit, who was trained by Mutaito, who was friends with the Sage of Six Paths," Goku said after deciding to defend his master. The tone of Goku's voice alone was enough to make the genins feel angry. "So if you think this symbolizes weakness, then I'll show you," he said. The most shocking revelation was that Mutaito and the sage were best friends before his death, but the Hokage knew it was true if the Master Roshi is Kame Sennin. Everyone was shocked that Goku knew so much about the past that most people were falsely calling him Goku. "I'll show you the terror, Son Goku, of the Hyuga style, and prove it's the best clan in existence by destroying your will," Neji stated with rage. "All right, you had a chance to speak. Are you both prepared?" The proctor nodded, slashed his arm down, and yelled, "Start." They were about to duel when, a millisecond later, Hyuga style versus Turtle School 20,000 years ago. In the cavern of an underground mountain on another planet, an elderly man was giving commands to what appeared to be low-level vampires in the area. The equipment they were using was extremely advanced but not particularly alien, and 20,000 years ago, a guru predicted that the evil within the people of the blue planet of life would consume it, and that the planet's saviors would fail in their mission. In order to weaken the planet in the event that the saviors are unable to secure its future, the guru made the decision to send his guardian of the scared saviors down to Earth. Psycho, the guard, was unsure of who to look for, but Jan, the guru of their planet, stated, "One of the two messiahs you must seek, my son, will bring numerous dangers from deep space to his home world, but he will rise to transform the darkness into a blissful light and release energy that makes the galaxy shine its brightest." The very old guru remarked as he started to fade, "The second one will have endured dislike from many for ungodly reasons, but this being will leave his mark in the world to change the way people are treated to this world, and his love will be more than enough to obliterate that of hatred." Before he finally passed away into the other world, he said, "Don't be hasty, my son, and remember to observe before acting." Psycho shed a single tear of sorrow but also a tear of conviction at his words, and after making up his mind, he set out on his journey. The present at the preliminary Chunin exam. After running to each other, Goku and Neji engaged in a fierce taijutsu battle in which neither side gave in to their unrelenting attacks. Goku aimed a cross-punch at Neji's left jaw, but Neji ducked under the blow and aimed his palm at Goku's stomach, but Goku easily caught his hand and threw him away from him by about 5 yards. Goku felt his left arm go numb from the impact of Neji's high two-finger strike on his unguarded arm. As soon as he landed, Neji smirked and let his defense wane. Goku then used the moment to move swiftly into his range and aim an uppercut at Neji's chin, sending him soaring into the air. Neji was less than 5 feet away from Goku when he leapt at high speed and got close enough to deliver a flying kick to his back, but Neji vanished in a puff, was replaced by a log, and emerged with another menacing grin. Goku regained his footing, landed gracefully on the ground, and stared Neji off while battling the throbbing pain in his left arm. "You are aware that you cannot defeat Son Goku. I was able to identify the precise location of your nerve in your arm and cut it off, even though I knew after my diagnosis that you had a slightly different anatomy from the rest of us." When he returned in his Hyuga style, he said, "It's a shame that you were the first to ever even land a hit on me in the first few minutes. You should have never let your guard down against me." Goku's expression changed from blank to smiling as he began to become excited. "I'm prepared to begin fighting for real now. Don't you think that's enough of a warm-up?" he said, startling Neji greatly as his left arm started to move once more. "How's that? Before his face touched Goku's shoes, Neji started, but Goku flipped off of Neji's face, drew his power pull, swung it down precisely, and struck Neji in the jaw, sending him spinning toward a wall. Regaining his composure, he forced himself to stick toward the wall and leapt off it with such force that the wall cracked as he went. Goku pulled his power pull back and did the same, hitting each other once more, which infuriated Neji due to the length of time he had been hit by him. Neji's fist went through Goku's stomach, and Goku's did the same. Both of them gripped each other and headbutted each other to escape their respective opponents' hold. A small amount of blood started to trickle from Neji's head's temple, but Goku's was unharmed, causing Neji to snarl under his breath as he used his final move. The 8 trigrams 64 palms. Every blow hit Goku hurt like hell, and after the last one, Goku was struck so forcefully that he fell through the wall across from where Neji had been knocked earlier. Naruto was clenching his fist as the fight was getting too close between the two fighters on the floor. Sakura was cheering for Goku to win, and a few others, like Choji, were praying that he wouldn't have to fight someone of Neji's caliber. The spectators were captivated by this fight because of the amazing display of skills and the fact that Neji is becoming a little sloppy in his moves, as noted by the Jonin and the Hokage. Interesting, Son Goku-kun is quite the fighter. Overlooking his naivety, he's good at learning the weaknesses of his foes. After a prolonged battle, Orochimaru thought to himself before grinning mischievously and licking his lips. Neji instructed the proctor to call the match on the battlefield, and he was about to do so when the building shook and Goku emerged from the rubble, slightly washing his clothes. "Well, you ready to finish this, Neji? I'm beginning to think you're running out of ideas judging from the amount of power you used in that last attack of yours," Goku said, pointing accusingly at Neji. "Aw man, this is my last outfit too," Goku said dejectedly, but the crowd may have perspired when they realized he was whining. "Stop talking," Neji bellowed. "I'm not sure how, but I'm going to crush you, Son Goku." When he halted, he saw a brown, furry tail clutching him by the wrist. "Shocking and disgusting, he screamed as he rushed at Goku again, his palm glowing with visible chakra, aiming a deadly strike to Goku's face. "I can tell now that it won't happen. You're ridiculous," Goku said, grinning, As he started to spin him around with his tail, many of the people couldn't believe they were witnessing Neji, the genius, being used as a toy. Goku halted and released him, but Neji lost himself due to the strain on his head and the vertigo, and he passed out while spinning on Goku's tail. Since Goku won, practically every member of Team 7 is getting through this with ease. However, many people, including the Hokage, were shocked by how Goku's tail made Neji, one of their best genin, look foolish. Some of the girls, like Ino, tried to approach Goku but were told he had a girlfriend, which made Ino cry anime tears about not being able to get a date. Sakura became anxious because she was the only one left who hadn't engaged in combat, and she started to feel uneasy when the Hokage ordered everyone to take a break in the lobby until the deep hole in the wall was fixed. After that skirmish, Kakashi left the arena to check on Sasuke's condition and wished Sakura luck on her opponent. Team 7 went to their room to wait for an update, with the exception of Goku, who had been starving during his match with Neji. Naruto opened the door, let Sakura in first, and then locked it. When he turned to ask Sakura if she was hungry, he noticed that she was surprisingly already asleep on the bed. He grinned as he walked over to her, grabbed the sheet, and covered her with it for warmth, blushing as she did so. He went into the bathroom and decided to take a shower because of his stench, letting the warm water soothe his tense muscles. After 30 minutes, he realized that he had left his jacket and shirt on the bed to Sakura's left, and he tried to be as quiet as possible while his eyes bulged out of their sockets. Sakura stood up and glanced around, noticing Naruto, who appeared to be approaching her without a shirt. "I swear, Sakura-chan." As her eyes started to twitch from Naruto's pervertedness, she calmly said, "Gulp. This isn't what it looks like, honest." She then ran to hit him on the head, but she stumbled over Naruto's ninja sandals and knocked him down on his back, causing him to bump his head into the hard floor. Sakura was on top of his chest, staring at his face with a deep flush. He rubbed the back of his head in excruciating pain and said, "Man, Sakura-chan, you made me hit my head." His eyes remained closed. Regaining her focus, Sakura got up, assisted him to the bed, laid him down, and then quickly left, leaving Naruto perplexed as he couldn't clearly understand her words. She said she was going to join Goku for dinner. However, a vampire was getting closer to his goal outside the boundaries of the Land of Fire. Following the conclusion of the matches, the Hokage gave the finalists their last lecture before the final exams. Naruto looked to his left at Gaara, Sakura, and Lee, and to his right at Kakashi, who was filling in for Sasuke, Hinata, Shikamaru, and Goku. He was happy to have made it, but he was sad that he would have to fight Sasuke in the first round. Don't get me wrong, he wanted to defeat Sasuke someday, but it would be too soon. He widened his eyes when he felt Kakashi's hand on his shoulder and smiled, which made Naruto smile a little. Matchups: Sakura vs Hinata, Sasuke vs Naruto, Goku vs Lee, Shikamaru vs Gaara. After leaving, Naruto made the decision to spend the remainder of this uneventful day relaxing and preparing for the finals in a few months. After a week and 24 hours, you can hear thuds in the background, which is usually a sign of training. At this point, Naruto was training with Goku, his de facto mentor. At first, they were fighting fairly, but Naruto wanted a real challenge, so he asked Goku to fight seriously, which led to Naruto being beaten repeatedly. Goku simply flipped above Naruto's kunai and punched him in the stomach, knocking him back a few feet. Naruto grabbed a kunai and launched it at Goku with accuracy nearly equal to Tentens. More than 100 Naruto started to swarm Goku, but Goku either dodged, parried, or completely destroyed them all. When he saw the final Naruto down, Goku smiled and inquired. Naruto had to do a backward roll to readjust before jumping into the multi-shadow clone jutsu. "You performed admirably, Naruto, and I'm impressed by how long you resisted me this time well." Before finishing, Goku had a gut feeling that something bad was about to happen, but he chose to ignore it. As he got closer to the silent Naruto, he felt his tail being grabbed and fell to the ground. Exhausted, Goku turned around to see Naruto grinning while holding his tail. "Oh, that's a low blow," Goku said, releasing himself after Naruto did. Even though he knew he couldn't defeat Goku in a fair fight, Naruto was still happy about his first victory in months. It was enough to know he had made up for his losses. Two figures could be seen in the distance: Sasuke and Kakashi. Upon observing the damage in the area, Kakashi was certain that the two ninja were preparing for the Chunin exams, so he spoke to two of his students. Kakashi crossed his arms in shock and exclaimed, "Yo, I see you two had been hard at work." He turned to face Goku and remarked, "If you take this seriously, you'll win without a doubt." "Kakashi, is it acceptable if I bring a few friends to watch me compete on the day of the tournament?" Goku asked, grinning. "Of course, the exam will house very important parties as well as audience to showcase the strength of each village, as I'm sure you're aware of," he said while staring at Naruto. The copy nin said, "Now the reason I came to you today is to tell you guys, that even though I understand you are my students, including Sakura, I will have to train Sasuke. Naruto felt abandoned. In an attempt to excite Naruto, he said, Naruto, I also come to tell you that you will be training under the Toad Sage, Lord Jiraiya. He grabbed Naruto after saying, well, it's settled, you all have your roles, so that's it and good luck. During that brief moment, Naruto managed to sneak a peek at Sasuke and saw that his right eye appeared to be bandaged with a seal implanted on it. Naruto connected this to the terrible Kami power Sasuke unleashed during his battle with Yoroi. Sasuke, too, stared at Naruto with a blank expression as if he wasn't himself. Sensing that he was being touched, he closed his only visible eye and vanished in a puff of smoke. After searching the streets of Konoha without success for Jiraiya, Naruto found Hinata's father's compound and made the decision to visit the shy girl. Following a minor altercation with the guards, he was granted entry among the Hiyashi Hyuga order. So, young Naruto Uzumaki, what do you want to see my daughter about? He inquired inquisitively about the boy's motivations. As Hiyashi led the way, Naruto remarked, well, I just wanted to see how she's feeling after she was matched up against Sakura is all, sir. HMPH. He halted in front of his daughter's room and said sourly, why bother? She doesn't have the courage to fight, much less win, based on how I've seen her in the past during training. Before leaving to go about his business, he said, 5 minutes. Naruto wanted to talk to someone about Sasuke who wasn't a fangirl to discuss his problems, but he didn't say anything to stop the Hiyashi's remarks about Hinata. Naruto opened the door and went into the room where Hinata was sitting on the edge of her bed, apparently holding something. Ahem. After knocking to get the girl's attention, Naruto said, hey Hinata-chan. However, the girl seemed uneasy and dropped her pendant, so she quickly picked it up, put it in her chest, and then, after a lengthy pause, turned to smile at Naruto. She said, hi-en Naruto-kun, with the corny demeanor she always adopts when she's with Naruto. Yes, he folded his arms behind his head and said, I thought I'd check in with you to see how you're feeling about your matchup against Sakura-chan. She put her chest box beneath her queen-sized bed and said, oh, I'm fine B, but you didn't have to do that. He approached her, looked on her bed, and said, giggling a little. You were aware with his silly smile, he said, you're kind of cute when you get sick. However, despite the fact that his remarks appeared to be a hit-on, they were incredibly stupid and caused Hinata to collapse onto her bed. When Hiyashi returned at that point, he informed Naruto that his time was up and that he had to leave. Bidding him farewell, he went to sleep on his own and waited impatiently for this Jiraiya person. The morning of the following day, saying, see you later, Goku took off until he was no longer visible through the horizon in order to pursue additional training through adventures of finding the 4-star ball within a month. With the exception of Sasuke, who Kakashi claimed had chosen to train, Team 7 was present. Naruto is incensed that Goku, Sasuke, and even Sakura, who was receiving assistance from Hayate, were growing stronger while his master was somewhere unknown. After leaving Team 7, Naruto was attempting to determine how to begin his training. He concluded that taijutsu and chakra control needed more practice, as well as his resistance to genjutsu, and that since he is at all proficient with gen, he should, at most, be able to disable it if necessary. He made the decision to run as quickly as possible to get to the library, but he ignored the glares he received along the way. When he arrived, he noticed that many people were there, primarily those working on the Chunin exam final. Hey, miss, where are your advanced taijutsu and genjutsu scrolls, as well as your chakra control scrolls? With a nervous desire to train as soon as possible, he asked. The attractive brunette looked at the teenager impatiently as she interrupted her reading of How to Get Sexier and said, all of the following scrolls should be located over on N3 walkway. After writing his name on a sheet indicating the return of the scrolls, he thanked her, hurried over, and took some before departing. Later on in the day, Naruto was training on his chakra control at a deserted area of Konoha. If you include training in the water, then why not? To be proficient in gen, you must at least be aware of how much chakra you use, otherwise you are essentially wasting it. This seemed difficult to Naruto, but he was able to look through it, and the more he read it, the more complicated it became. He sighed and stopped, as he began to feel cold from the water. Since he is now receiving training from Kakashi-sensei and Goku is probably going to follow suit, Naruto sighed inwardly and asked himself, how am I going to defeat Sasuke if I can't even use my own chakra correctly? And at that point, me and him were more or less even. At that point, a figure was seen approaching him from a distance. Based on the way the hair was styled, it appeared as though Sasuke was approaching, but as the figure approached, it revealed white hair with a headband that read, oil. Naruto could see that this was not Sasuke when he was on him, and he blocked the sunlight from Naruto's eyes. He rubbed his chin and said, Hey, sorry for keeping you waiting, but I had a little research to before I came back to Konoha, so you must Naruto Uzumaki, of Team 7 Inches. Naruto said a little loudly, yeah, I am. And who are you? The man said with a sly smile. With a dazed expression, Jiraiya exclaimed, why, I am the Master Sennin, also known as the Toad Sennin, Lord Jiraiya. Naruto began to perspire. Far from Konoha, in a forest, Goku unintentionally discovered a Dragon Ball. Unfortunately, it was the 7-star ball. Goku made the decision to take a little bath and get a drink of water from a nearby pond. He emerged from the unexpectedly hot pond after a few minutes and received treatment while putting on his shoes. He saw a tall man with red pupilless eyes and white hair standing on a branch. He was wearing a white robe underneath his black trench coat, black pants, and white combat boots. On guard, Goku asked, who are you? To ensure that the person would not get past his defense. When the man heard Goku ask him a question, he stopped eating an apple from a nearby apple tree after dropping the partially consumed apple. Goku briefly blinked and saw the man standing in front of him, reaching out to touch him. Despite his surprise, Goku managed to backflip far enough away from the man. The tone of the man's voice changed. He uttered the words, Baraku Kotaku Soto. Suddenly, a sword appeared in the man's hands, and he swirled dust around the sword's tip before swinging relentlessly in Goku's direction. When the smoke cleared, the man was shocked to see Goku still breathing after a massive impact in the ground managed to destroy several of the nearby trees. Goku had the power pole in his hand when he looked down to where his sword was, twisting it before poking him in the stomach and yelling. Goku shouted, extend, as the power pole flew to enormous heights, causing the man on the receiving end to crash into a small boulder, or what's left of it, near the pond. After gaining his bearings, the man realized that he might have been hurt by something other than the boulder after all. Without letting up, Goku leapt in the direction of the man and struck him with a hammer. The man was unable to raise his arm in time, so he was forced to reveal one of his powers, which he promised would be sufficient. The man said, Baraku Kotaku Soto. Shaningu Shiama. A mysterious armor encircling his body in the shape of a black circle shield appeared. It bounced off a little before knocking Goku back a few yards, but not before breaking the man's shield and rendering the strange man unconscious. This was the next impact from Goku's power pole stroke. How were you able to crack my shield? It's born with hardest material known, the galaxy impenetrable Tetsu. Only another could possibly cancel it out, he kept asking. I'm not. My grandpa said it has some type of power, Goku said, attempting to keep the details to himself. But after saying that, the man appeared to remove his sword and leave, but not before offering an apology. As he summoned the Nimbus and continued his training in search of the 4-star ball, Goku thought, that was weird. Returning to Konoha, Sasuke was practicing the Chidori, a move that Kakashi invented. He was still unable to use the jutsu for extended periods of time like Kakashi. Despite having mastered it after failing to make any significant progress, he finally made the decision to ask Kakashi a question. When Sasuke depowered the jutsu, he said, hey Kakashi-sensei, let me ask you something. He kept reading his Icha book while waiting for Sasuke's question about a nearby cottage they use for isolation during his training, nodding for him to go on. Sasuke asked some crucial questions that made Kakashi sigh. Why are you teaching me this jutsu for? I feel you think Naruto's gonna have an ace up his sleeve, and if so, do you intend for me to kill Naruto with this move? After all, this is an assassin technique. Although he anticipated these, they arrived much sooner than he had anticipated. Remember when I told you guys that those who abandon their friends are worse than that? This technique isn't meant to be used against Naruto, who is a member of your team and none of your teammates at that. Well, the point behind that is for you to use this assassin jutsu for those who threatens your friends or comrades during battle. Like war. For your first question, however, I intended for you to use this move against anyone who isn't a Konoha shinobi, he said while continuing to read his perverse text. Well, and in any case I can't use it correctly without my Sharingan, and I don't see why you don't want me to use it with it. I mean, you seem to use it every time with the Sharingan, Sasuke explained. Kakashi looked up and saw where he was coming from, but he wanted Sasuke to discover that for himself. As he put his book away to create a shadow clone, he said, sorry, I'll tell you why if you manage to kill my clone with Chidori. Sasuke rolled his eyes and got his Chidori ready. Chidori, he exclaimed, running toward the clone. The finals month, since today is the day to demonstrate each shinobi's value as a participant. The village of Konoha was packed given that Sasuke is a Uchiha and is up against a beast. Many people had high expectations for his battle with Naruto. Important VIPs were still able to secure front row seats and reserved spots next to Hokage and Kazekage despite the intense excitement. This should be interesting, right Hokage-sama? The Kage remarked as he began to grow impatient as the other Kage nodded. Sarutobi respectfully remarked, "Of course, though it is a shame that all 3 of your children didn't make it. Very unfortunate Kage-sama."
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.